Chapter 28:47. The banquet was lively, not only because of Emperor Candle Heaven, but also because of Lu Li's arrival. Many emperors were interested in Lu Li for two reasons. First, how did he come back and what did he go through? Secondly, he was clearly only at the fifth tribulation realm. Why did he have origin energy and a Dharma idol? This was especially so for the second point. This made countless thearchs curious. Some even suspected that it was just a rumor. That being said, it was a fact that Lu Li suppressed the Tsang family by himself and killed many demons. They had to believe it. Therefore, before the banquet even started, a few overlords had already arrived. They sat together and chatted while waiting for Lu Li to bring them over. Lu Li was led to the hall by the family master of the Chu family. The family master of the Chu family left after he brought Lu Li in. This was a banquet of the Emperor Realm. Lu Li was not qualified to attend. Ha ha ha. 7 great Emperor Realm warriors had arrived. An old man with a glowing face walked over and asked, "You must be Lu Li. I am Meng Qi. People call me the Strange Emperor." Facing a group of emperors, Lu Li dared not to be disrespectful. He bowed at once and said, "Greetings, Your Excellency." Lu Li, calling himself a junior, made the Wonder Emperor very happy. It must be known that in the third heaven, seniority was not determined by age, but by realm. For example, when Lu Li reached the Emperor realm, did he have to bow to a warrior of the fourth tribulation who was tens of thousands of years old and call himself a junior? Lu Li had origin energy and could release Dharma idol, which was no different from a warrior of the Emperor realm. It was just that he didn't have the might and body of an emperor yet. These were all trivial matters. Origin energy was the foundation. Without origin energy, having the arch body was useless. Therefore, Lu Li's modesty and politeness left a good impression on the Qi Emperor. He took Lu Li's hand and introduced him one by one. All 7 of them were at the Great Emperor Realm. 5 of them were famous in the third heaven. Lu Li was not familiar with the third heaven, but he had heard of their names. The other 2 were reclusive emperors. Lu Li had never heard of them. A middle-aged warrior with a long beard and a luxurious robe asked Lu Li with curiosity, "Lu Li, why can't your Dharma shield sense it?" Not only was this overlord curious about this matter, but the other overlord ranks were also curious. As soon as Lu Li came in, the low-level warriors tried to sense him, but none of them could sense Lu Li's Dharma realm. If there was no Dharma realm, then where did Lu Li get his origin energy? Lu Li smiled. His hand glowed. The presence of the source of energy permeated the hall. The great emperors took a look and were amazed. They had all broken through to the monarch realm many years ago and were very familiar with origin energy. With a single glance, they could tell that this was the real deal and not a fake. "Little brat, your Dharma world is actually in the divine elixir?" A short old man blinked his eyes in confusion. "Your divine elixir doesn't have any divine power. We can't sense the Dharma realm through the divine elixir. You're really strange, kid." Lu Li grinned, but didn't explain. The warrior didn't ask any more questions. After all, everyone had their own secrets. If Lu Li didn't want to tell them, they wouldn't force him. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Right at that moment, footsteps came from the corridor. Then 4 people walked in. The leader was a dignified old man in a white robe with extraordinary bearing. There was a suffocating sense of oppression coming from him. Even with Lu Li's current abilities, he still felt pressured. Next to the old man in a white robe was a lady with an air of nobility. She wore a phoenix crown and a phoenix robe. She looked like a queen. Lu Li had seen her shadow before. It was Phoenix Empress. On the other side of the old man in a white robe was an elegant middle-aged man. He wore a moon-white robe and had a gorgeous beard. The gentle smile on his face left a good impression. Sunlight Emperor. Lu Li recognized him right away since he had seen a portrait of this man. Walking at the back was an old man in a black robe with a black sword in his arms. His expression was gloomy and his eyes were like those of a viper, making people uncomfortable. Emperor Torch of Heaven, Phoenix Empress, Sunlight Emperor, and his old servant. Lu Li could tell who they were at a glance. People in the hall stopped talking and bowed to Emperor Torch of Heaven. Nobody dared to disrespect him, be it because of his identity or his abilities. Emperor Torch of Heaven's eyes were calm and tranquil. He glanced at Lu Li and suddenly said with a smile, "Heroes come from the young. When I was your age, I had just reached the sixth tribulation. Lu Li, you have reached the Emperor realm directly. Congratulations." Lu Li sneered to himself, but he still bowed politely and said, "Greetings, Emperor Torch of Heaven. You flatter me." Lu Li didn't salute to Sunlight Emperor and Phoenix Empress. Their families had tried to hunt him down, and he almost died many times. Phoenix Empress put on a meaningful smile. She stared at Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, we meet again. I didn't know that a kid could reach the Emperor realm. This is truly a surprise to this Empress." Lu Li said with a smile, "Phoenix Empress, you are surprised that I can live until now, right?" As soon as Lu Li finished his words, the atmosphere in the hall became more stifling. They were all at the Emperor realm, and all of them were sophisticated. Even if they had conflicts, they wouldn't let it out. But Lu Li felt like he was going to fall out with them. Phoenix Empress smiled. Ignoring Lu Li's provocation, she said, "A sword's edge can only be sharpened. Without that, you wouldn't have achieved what you have now, right? Lu Li, we had some misunderstandings in the past. Now that we are facing enemies, can we let bygones be bygones?" "Ha ha ha." Sunlight Emperor laughed as well and said, "Speaking of which, my unfilial descendants also had some misunderstandings with Lu Li. Lu Li, do you want me to call them over and apologize to you in person?" "Yeah." Lu Li was surprised. Phoenix Empress and Sunlight Emperor were being so easy to talk to. In front of so many Emperor-ranked experts, the two of them had put down their pride and arrogance. Even though they didn't apologize, their tone and attitude were humble. Lu Li was only a quasi-emperor who hadn't even condensed his body. How could he afford to be like this? There must be a reason for this abnormality. Lu Li raised his eyebrows. Before he could say anything, Emperor Candle Heaven said, "Okay, it is all in the past, some petty grudges. It is not worth mentioning in the face of the catastrophe of the human race. Lu Li, today I will be the peacemaker. From today on, the resentment between you and Emperor Yang and Phoenix Empress is over, right? Anyone who dares to mention this in the future will be disrespecting me. How about that?" Lu Li didn't know why Emperor Candle Heaven, Phoenix Empress, and Sunlight Emperor were doing this, but they were showing respect in front of so many Emperor Realm warriors. If Lu Li continued to argue, he would be insensible. Cupping his fists, Lu Li said, "Emperor, you are right. I have no objection." "Ha ha ha." Emperor Candle Heaven laughed. He glanced over and said, "You really are a young talent. You are sensible and righteous. More importantly, you have reached the Emperor realm at such a young age. The Southern Theater of Operations will have another strong warrior. Lu Li, as the commander of the Southern Theater of Operations, I will appoint you as the commander of the 9th Legion. I hope you can lead the army well, defeat the enemies, and eliminate more Abyss Realm warriors. You will make great contributions to the human race." The 9th Legion? Lu Li's pupils contracted. He finally understood why Emperor Candle Heaven, Phoenix Empress, and Sunlight Emperor were being so humble today. They were sending Lu Li to the battlefield and killing him with the help of the powerful warriors from the Abyss Realm. P.S. Chapter 5. Chapter 2849. Anyone else would be overjoyed to be appointed as the commander of a legion and have millions of warriors under his command. But Lu Li knew that Emperor Candle Heaven was up to no good. Emperor Sunlight and Phoenix Queen were trying to bait Lu Li into a trap by being so humble. "Lu Li, aren't you known as a hero of a human race with a spirit of righteousness? Now that you are back and your abilities have improved, shouldn't you consider contributing to the human race? A bunch of emperors are showing you respect and treating you with courtesy. They even appointed you as the commander of a legion. You can't turn them down, can you?" But Lu Li refused without any hesitation. He said, "I am sorry, Emperor. I am working at the Northern Theater of Operations, and I will go there in a couple of days to report. It doesn't matter which theater I am at, but I still have a position there. Reincarnation Emperor has summoned me to resume my post." Lu Li was not stupid. He knew that he would be tortured to death by Emperor Candle Heaven, sunlight, and phoenix queen. Therefore, he would not fall for anything they said. It was not like Emperor Candleheaven would force Lu Li to take up a post there. The fight against the abyssal demon warriors was spontaneous. Nobody could force anyone to go. Emperor Candleheaven was not a king of the third plane and had no right to give orders. Emperor Candleheaven said nothing after Lu Li finished his words. Emperor Sunlight and Phoenix Queen looked at each other. Although the two of them did not show any change in their expressions, since they could look at each other, it meant that they were definitely unhappy, or perhaps very disappointed. Emperor Candleheaven thought about it and said, "There are many powerful warriors at the northern theater of operations. The southern one is weaker. Also, the Lu family is here. I think it is better for you to take up a post there. Do you want to talk to Reincarnation Emperor?" Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed and said, "Emperor Candleheaven and other lords are here at the southern theater of operations. What can happen to a small family like the Lu family? Is there a second song, family? I want to go to the northern theater of operations for a selfish reason. I have a crush on a young lady of the Chi family." Huh. As soon as Lu Li finished his words, many emperors understood. So Lu Li wanted to court a young lady of the Chi family. Lu Li was young after all. It was understandable that he was in love. Sunlight Emperor and Phoenix Queen, on the other hand, felt like they had been screwed. Lu Li's first few words had made them afraid to plot against the Lu family. What's more, they had to worry that someone would do the same to the Lu family. Otherwise, they would be blamed by the world. Great Emperor Candleheaven was speechless. He smiled and said, "Then it's up to you. It doesn't matter where I work. It's all for the human race and the third heaven. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do. Lu Li, I hope you can make another great contribution." Later on, Emperor Candleheaven asked where Lu Li had been. Lu Li told Emperor Candleheaven how to cultivate source energy according to his plan. Emperor Candleheaven left after giving him some words of encouragement. After Emperor Candle of Heaven left, Emperor Sunlight and Empress Phoenix bid farewell as well. They were here to show their attitude and to entice Lu Li to work here. Now that they had failed, they would not stay here to be mistreated. Lu Li chatted with a group of great Emperor Realm warriors for a while before he left as well. He found a family patriarch of the Chu family and opened the space portal to go back to the Broken Sword Mountain. Then, he teleported back to the Mystic Armor City. He stayed in the city for half a month to make sure that everything was on the right track. Lu Li and Lu Ling set off as well. They were going to teleport to the northern plains by the spatial portal in the spatial city. Lu Li was an honorary patriarch of the Qi family. It was not a big deal for him to take the spatial portal. The Qi clan even heard that the Lu clan was coming from the second heaven. The Qi clan was even prepared to arrange for the purple Yang continent to take the spatial door to the chilly winter continent. This would shorten the time and be much safer. Lu Li and Lu Ling teleported from the chilly winter continent to the wind continent and then to the flying fire continent. Since the warriors of the Dragon Rebel flying team were all at the northern plains, Lu Ling didn't go back to the Dragon Rebel Valley. She teleported back to the northern plains with Lu Li. When Lu Li and Bai Luochu came out from the portal, the first thing Bai Luochu saw was a pretty face covered in tears. It was a pretty girl, but she was much thinner than before. Her tears flowed down even more when she saw Lu Li. She trembled as if she wanted to move, but she forced herself not to. Ding dong! Lu Li reached out his hand. Chi Ding Dong could stand it no longer. She dashed over and threw herself into Lu Li's arms. Lu Ling was speechless. This brother of hers was good in every way except for the fact that he was too sentimental. He already had several wives and concubines. He had just settled the issue with Ling Long, and Yin Qingxi was not clear. Now, this young lady of the Qi family threw herself at him as soon as they arrived at the northern demon city. How come her brother was different from Lu Renhuang? Lu Renhuang was single, and he only loved one person in his life. But Lu Ling was used to this. Many powerful warriors had many wives and concubines. Many family patriarchs and patriarchs of small families had many wives and concubines, not to mention the big shots. There was a family patriarch at the Flying Fire continent who had more than 1,000 wives and concubines. Having more wives and concubines was good for procreation. The Lu family was small in number. Lu Renhuang only had one son, Lu Li. If Lu Li could have many offspring, it would be a blessing for the Lu family. No, Lu Ling's face turned pale at the thought of this. Lu Li had married so many wives, but none of them had any children. He only adopted a son. Luin, on the other hand, had many offspring after Luin married. Not all of his wives could be pregnant. That must mean that there was something wrong with Lu Li's body. What was more, Lu Li could use the dragon transformation. It was hard for the dragon rebel race to have offspring. Lu Ling wondered if it was because of the dragon's soul. Had the dragon soul changed Lu Li's body and made it hard for him to have offspring with the dragon rebel race? Or was it because Lu Li could not have offspring with regular girls? Did he have to marry a girl of the dragon rebel race? How about introducing a girl of the dragon rebel race to Lu Li? In a moment, Lu Ling's mind was full of thoughts. As Lu Li's dearest sister, she cared about Lu Li the most. There were 3 ways to be unfilial, the worst of which was to have no offspring. That being said, girls of a dragon rebel race were not allowed to marry outsiders. Young ladies of a dragon rebel race would not be willing to marry a man from outside. The dragon rebel race would not agree. Lu Ling had a headache. Qi Ding Dong and Lu Li hugged for a while. Lu Li said with a smile, "Ding Dong, this is my sister. Come and greet her." Qi Ding Dong had met Lu Ling before. Lu Ling was very famous, much more famous than she was. She was surprised to hear Lu Li was referring to his sister. Shouldn't she be his love sister? Was it popular now? Seeing Qi Ding Dong was hesitating, Lu Li said with a grin, "This is my sister. She raised me. I will tell you about this later." Qi Ding Dong did not hesitate. She bowed with a blush and said, "Nice to meet you, sister." "Ha ha." Lu Ling smiled. She loved Lu Li's crow. She liked any girl that Lu Li liked. She took Qi Ding Dong's hands and said, "What did my brother do to win your favor? Lu Li, you must treat Lady Qi well." Qi Ding Dong blushed even more. She thought about it and said, "Lu Li's sister, the family patriarch said he will take you to him directly. Please come with me." Okay. Chapter 2850. Reincarnation Emperor was not the only one who came to see Lu Li and Lu Ling. A group of great emperors and dragon rebel came as well. Lu Li and Lu Ling went into a hall and found more than a dozen great emperors sitting inside. They felt pressured. The last time the Reincarnation Emperor appeared, it was only an illusion. This time, he came in person. It was a very handsome man. He looked like a middle-aged man and did not give off much pressure. However, anyone who looked at him would feel that he was not ordinary. He was like a sword hidden in a sheath. Even though he didn't show off his abilities, he could cut open the sky at any time. His eyes were neither deep nor sharp, but they gave off a very bright feeling, like 2 bright moons that were particularly eye-catching. Dragon Rebel was different from Reincarnation Emperor. There was violent energy in his body. His chi and blood were so strong that it was hard for people to breathe. His eyes were calm, but they were like 2 sharp swords. Just one look at them would make people feel pain. Apart from these 2, Lu Li didn't know the other great emperors, but Lu Ling knew some. The 2 bowed to each other with respect after they entered. Lu Ling even bowed to the Dragon Rebel team alone. Lu Li, Dragon Rebel Antelope, good job, Reincarnation Emperor said. His voice was calm and amiable. With a sincere smile, he said, "I'm glad that you can come back safely. You have made a great contribution, and you will be rewarded. When you left, I promised you that you could cultivate at Reincarnation Mountain for a year. This promise is still valid. You can go there to cultivate at any time." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Lu Li and Lu Ling expressed their gratitude at once. Emperor of Samsara asked them about what happened after that, and how Lu Li cultivated origin energy. Lu Li told Emperor of Samsara the same story as before. After a while, Reincarnation Emperor suddenly waved to Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, come with me. I have something to ask you in private." With that said, Reincarnation Emperor walked to the back of the hall. Luli cupped his fist to the other great emperors and followed Reincarnation Emperor. Reincarnation Emperor was more prestigious than Heaven-Burning Emperor at the third heaven. All the great emperors here respected Reincarnation Emperor very much. There must be something important for the Reincarnation Emperor to summon Luli alone. Nobody would suspect that he was being selfish. After entering a side hall at the back, the Samsara the Arch waved his hand and activated the divine imprints. He pointed to a seat and said, "Sit. There's no need to stand on ceremony." Luli sat down at once. After some thoughts, Reincarnation Emperor looked at Luli and said, "Luli, you must have gone to the Endless Ruins, right?" "Huh?" Luli trembled and his eyes were filled with surprise. The first thought that came to his mind was that Xiang Linglong had told him everything. Suddenly, he thought that Linglong was not such a person. How did the Reincarnation Emperor find out? Don't overthink it. Samsara Emperor smiled and said, "This is what I deduced. I deduced that you guys went to another space-time. This time, your strength has soared. You must have had a fortuitous encounter. Apart from the demonic abyss, the strongest realm in the vicinity was the Endless God Ruins. If you had gone to the demonic abyss, you would have died long ago. That's why I came to this conclusion." Luli was impressed. He had heard that the Reincarnation Emperor was proficient in divination, but he didn't know that he was this good. He nodded and asked, "Emperor, you know about the Endless Ruins as well?" "Of course, because I have been there as well." Luli was surprised by the Reincarnation Emperor's answer. The Reincarnation Emperor explained, "After I reached the Emperor realm, I wandered around and accidentally entered the Endless Void. By chance, I came to the Endless Ruins. But I didn't stay there for long. I lived incognito for 2,000 years, and then I came back. How are things over there?" Since the Reincarnation Emperor had been there, Luli had nothing to hide. He told the Reincarnation Emperor about the Endless Ruins and what happened to them there. The Reincarnation Emperor nodded with satisfaction and said, "Luli, I didn't know that you and the Celestial Emperor sect are connected. You have a bright future ahead of you in the Celestial Emperor sect, but you have come back to your homeland. I am glad." Luli said with sincerity, "My family is here and my people are here. This world is my root. Even though I have become a senior leader of the Celestial Emperor sect, I am still rootless. What is more, I have not survived the catastrophe of the third heaven. As a citizen of this world, how can I sit back and do nothing?" "Good." The Reincarnation Emperor nodded with appreciation. Then he looked at Luli's pellet and said, "Your realm of Dharma is strange. I cannot see through it. Your path of cultivation is different from ours, so I cannot give you any pointers. Don't go to the battlefield for now. Go to the Reincarnation Mountain and cultivate. You must reach the Emperor realm first. For you, everything else is trivial. Reaching the Emperor realm is the most important thing. Cultivate at the Reincarnation Mountain." Luli frowned. The Reincarnation Mountain was the cultivation place of the Reincarnation Emperor, and it was the most treasured place in the third heaven. Many people dreamed of cultivating there. But the Lu family had just been established, and it was far away at the chilly winterland. Emperor Sunlight and Empress Phoenix were eyeing it. Who knew what they would do? If he didn't go back to assume command, how could he be at ease? "Are you worried about the Lu family?" The Reincarnation Emperor could tell that Luli was worried. He thought about it and said, "How about this? I will build a portal in person to connect the Reincarnation Mountain and the Lu family. If anything happens, you can get there in half a day. Do you have any worries now?" Luli was taken aback. The distance from the Reincarnation Mountain to the city of Mystic Armor was more than half of the third heaven. The Reincarnation Emperor was going to spend a lot of rare materials, and he had to do it himself. Just for him to cultivate in peace? Wasn't this too much of favor? Luli waved his hands and said, "Your Majesty, this is too much trouble." "It's okay," the Reincarnation Emperor said gently. "I have high hopes for you. Maybe you're the only one who can survive this catastrophe. So, your business is an important matter in the third heaven. I will send 2 patriarchs of the chief family to protect you so that you won't have any worries." "Me?" Luli touched his nose, not knowing what to say. He had just barely made it to the Emperor realm. How long would it take for him to become a powerful one? Even if he did, Could he surpass the Reincarnation Emperor or Heaven Candle? The Reincarnation Emperor thought too highly of him. Anyways, Lu Li was intrigued by the Reincarnation Emperor's suggestion. He would be fighting at the Northern Theater of Operations in the future, while the Lu family was at the chilly Winterland. When the portal was built, he could go back at any time. If the Qi family sent two patriarchs to protect him, Emperor Sunlight and Empress Phoenix wouldn't dare to do anything. Otherwise, they would be challenging the Reincarnation Emperor. Lu Li bowed to express his gratitude and said, "Thank you, Your Majesty. Soon, we'll be a family. Don't be so courteous. When you reach the true Emperor realm, you can marry Ding Dong." Reincarnation Emperor waved his hand with a smile. Lu Li cupped his fists, thanked him, and left. Chapter 2851. The Reincarnation Mountain wasn't located in the Space City. Instead, it was located 10,000 kilometers south of the Space City. This mountain was extremely large and tall. It was an exceptional land of treasures. However, ordinary people wouldn't be able to see this mountain. The entire mountain was enveloped by powerful divine runes, and there was an extremely powerful illusory formation. Although this mountain was very big, there was almost no one inside. Only a few elite disciples of the Qi family were cultivating inside. But recently, there were 3 people living here: Lu Li, Lu Ling, and Xiang Linglong. The Reincarnation Emperor had personally said that as long as they could return, he would grant them a year of cultivation at the Reincarnation Mountain. Not only did the Reincarnation Mountain have extremely dense spiritual qi of heaven and earth, but more importantly, there were many Tao marks left behind in many places. These were some of the Reincarnation Emperor's comprehension of the heavenly Tao. As one of the strongest great emperors in this world, the nomological Tao marks left behind by the Samsara Emperor were extremely precious. If ordinary Fifth Tribulation Transcendents or feudal lords were allowed to come in and cultivate, countless people would flock to it, even if the price was 1 trillion godstones per day. Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong cherished this opportunity. Lu Ling visited the Dragon Rebel team in private. The Dragon Rebel team didn't say anything about her breaking the seal. He also made it clear that he would not stop her from doing anything in the future. He only told her not to forget that she was a member of the Dragon Rebel clan and that the blood of the Dragon Rebel clan flowed in her veins. He asked about Lu Li's dragon transformation out of curiosity. After all, it was similar to the dragon reverse transformation. He asked Lu Ling to communicate with Lu Li when she had time to see if the dragon reverse transformation could be of help. The Dragon Rebel team knew Lu Ling very well. She did not grow up in the Dragon Rebel clan. Therefore, she did not have much sense of belonging to the Dragon Rebel clan. He had sealed her memory and let her live in the Dragon Rebel Valley for so many years, but it was not of much use. Therefore, forcing her to do this, and that could eventually drive her away or even her death. He might as well let her go. He had been so kind to her over the years. People were made of flesh and blood. Lu Ling would remember that she was a member of the Dragon Rebel clan. In the future, when she grew up, she would think more about the Dragon Rebel clan. After Xiang Linglong arrived, she wanted to get closer to Lu Li, but she knew that cultivating at the Reincarnation Mountain was a rare opportunity. Apart from that, Qi Ding Dong was also present. She had never told Qi Ding Dong about her relationship with Lu Li. She was also a bit embarrassed to say it. After all, Qi Ding Dong had always been in love with Lu Li. Qi Ding Dong, on the other hand, didn't notice anything. She had the permission of the Reincarnation Emperor to cultivate here all year round to keep Lu Li company. Therefore, she was happy. Lu Li was not in a hurry. Reincarnation Emperor didn't ask him to cultivate here for a year. He wanted Lu Li to cultivate here until he reached the Emperor realm. Reincarnation Emperor came back as well. He would keep his promise to Lu Li. He began to build a portal in person to connect to the city of mystic armor. Apart from the Reincarnation Emperor, no one else could set up such a long-distance teleportation. It would also require a lot of precious materials and time. The Reincarnation Emperor treated him so well that Lu Li could not repay him. He could only focus on cultivation and strive to reach the Emperor realm as soon as possible. Emperor Rui once told Lu Li that to reach the Emperor realm, there were 3 conditions. The first was origin energy and the realm of Dharma. The second was the body of an emperor, and the third was the Dharma manifestation. Lu Li had no problems with origin energy, realm of Dharma, and Dharma manifestation. Only the body of an emperor was left. At the end of the day, the cultivation of the body of an emperor was the heavens tribulation. If Lu Li could survive 2 more heavens tribulations, he would have the body of an emperor and become a real warrior of the emperor realm. As a matter of fact, Lu Li could survive the 6th heavens tribulation with his current abilities. After all, he had origin energy and his soul was strong. What was more, everything was stable now and the inner demons were gone. The heavens tribulation shouldn't be too difficult. That being said, Lu Li decided to play it safe. He planned to cultivate for a year before going to the heavens tribulation to build a solid foundation. He went into a secret room and began to cultivate divine energy. He had no more pellets, but that didn't stop him from cultivating divine energy. He also realized that storing divine energy in his acupoints could improve his physical strength quickly. There were 720 acupoints in his body. The more energy stored in the acupoints, the stronger his physical body would be. This was one of the methods Emperor Z used to cultivate his physical body. He never thought about storing divine energy in his acupoints before. Now that he had no more pellets, he was inspired with a new idea. The heaven-earth spiritual chi here is even denser than in the primitive mystic realm. As soon as he started cultivating, Lu Li felt Xian Qi in heaven and earth surging into his body from all sides. Then, the Xian Qi gathered in his energy channels and formed divine energy. It was as if there were countless streams coming from all directions, forming a surging river in his energy channels. He immediately distributed the divine power to the acupoints in his body, and his body began to strengthen rapidly. On the other side, he began to cultivate the soul tampering technique. Although his soul was already very strong, if he could become even stronger, why not? At the same time, Lu Li began to refine his Dharma form. Every Emperor Realm warrior would refine their Dharma form. Dharma idol wasn't the only method of attack for Emperor-ranked experts. Many Emperor-ranked experts relied on powerful true intent laws. However, there was no doubt that if the Dharma idol could become stronger, it could easily surpass countless laws and true meanings. What was the true meaning of a law? It was a powerful offensive and defensive killing move that borrowed the power of heaven and earth. At the end of the day, the nomological true meaning borrowed the power of heaven and earth of this world. What was the Dharma form? This was a divine ability that directly condensed origin energy to form a powerful offensive and defensive killer move. What was origin energy? That was the origin energy in the realm of Dharma. The realm of Dharma and the world were essentially the same. It was just that the realm of Dharma was a small world that had yet to take shape, while the world was a world with complete laws and order. The power of heaven and earth was one of the forces of the world, but it was not the origin energy of the world. Warriors cultivated to absorb the power of heaven and earth and transform it into divine energy. Origin energy was of a higher level than divine energy. What did it mean? It meant that origin energy was of a higher level than the power of heaven and earth. Dharma form was a direct attack with origin energy, but laws and true meanings were formed by borrowing the power of heaven and earth. One could tell the difference between them. Lu Li was weak in the aspect of laws and true meanings. He had never been strong. He had only been cultivating for a short time. If he wanted to improve his abilities by relying on laws and true meanings, he would need a long time and luck. Therefore, Lu Li never thought about studying the marks of Tao and true meanings at the Reincarnation Mountain. He was clear about what he should do next, which was to build an emperor's body and refine Dharma form. As long as his Dharma form could be improved, his abilities could be improved infinitely. Also, Lu Li wanted to focus on soul attacks. He had such a powerful soul. Instead of studying soul attacks, he would be stupid to study true meanings of laws. 10 years. Lu Li set a goal for himself. He wanted to reach the Emperor realm in 10 years, and at the same time, refine Dharma form and study soul attacks. He wanted to make himself more powerful than average Emperor realm warriors in 30 years. At the very least, he should be as powerful as Phoenix Empress. Surpass Phoenix Empress in 30 years. Suddenly, Lu Li felt a sense of melancholy. Phoenix Empress was one of the weaker Emperor realm warriors. How long would it take for him to surpass Emperor Yang and Emperor Candle Heaven? He had promised the Blood Evil King to kill Emperor Candle Heaven. There was still a long way to go. Many of them only had the battle prowess of 1 or 2 tribulations. This was something that couldn't be helped. The Lu clan was originally a clan in the mortal world. Many of them were mortals, and they didn't have the chance to become gods. It was Ling Qingyin and Pan Yuqin who brought them to the god realm. Later on, he went to the second heaven and barely managed to raise his strength. Now that he was in the third heaven, his strength naturally couldn't be looked down upon. The group of country bumpkins were not used to the third layer of heaven. At first, they were terrified. However, they discovered that although their strength was low, their status was very high. Many big and small clans in the vicinity were trying to curry favor with them. After living in the Mystic Armor City for half a year, many members of the Lu family had figured out that the Lu family had a high status in the chilly winter continent. At the very least, his status in the Yin family's territory was very high. The Yin family was very polite to the Lu clan. The other clans in the nearby fields were even more polite to the Lu clan. They gave him all kinds of gifts and tried to curry favor with them. Many young ladies of small families wanted to form a marriage alliance with the Lu clan. Many young ladies tried to flirt with the Lu clan. Even though they were young ladies of small families, many of them were warriors of the third or fourth tribulation. On the other hand, most of the disciples of the Lu family were only warriors of the first or second tribulation. This made many disciples of the Lu family complacent. Some of them began to commit crimes. Fortunately, Lu Renhuang and Lu Ling were here. Lu Ling abhorred this kind of situation. After discussing with Lu Renhuang, they grounded those who had committed crimes for 100 years. One disciple was even executed in public. The disciples of the Lu family became obedient at once. Lu Ling's cruelty had shocked everyone. Lu Ling was not interested in forming a marriage alliance with a small family. The Yin family had made it clear that they wanted to form a marriage alliance. Naturally, Lu Ling would go with the Yin family. Even young ladies and young masters from a branch of the Lu family could benefit the Lu family disciples. After some discussion with the Yin family, the Lu family and the Yin family held several banquets and activities. Both sides sent out dozens of young masters and young ladies. After more than a dozen banquets and activities, dozens of people liked each other. The young masters and young ladies of the Lu family were not powerful. But the young masters and young ladies of the Yin family didn't look down on them because their surname was Lu. Lu Li was at the Emperor realm, and he had a close relationship with the Reincarnation Emperor. Lu Li had a promising future. In the future, the entire Yin family would have to rely on Lu Li. Therefore, forming a marriage alliance with the Lu family was not only a mission for the family, but also a great benefit for the Yin family. At the very least, after the marriage, the young masters and young ladies of the Yin family would enjoy more resources. Of course, the young masters and young ladies of the Yin family were all from a branch of the Lu family. Young masters like Yin Tianfen and Yin Xingrui wouldn't marry young ladies of the Lu family randomly. If there were people like Lu Ling, Yin Tianfen would be more than happy. Yin Ruolin wouldn't marry other young masters of the Lu family. Apart from Lu Li, she didn't like the rest of the Lu family. Now that the Yin family had gained 4 areas, their strength grew. Many warriors came to join them. They all knew that the Yin family was in dire need of manpower. They had so many territories that needed people to guard and manage. Now was the best time for them to join the Yin family. More powerful warriors wanted to join the Lu family. There were 3 warriors of the Sixth Tribulation, but Lu Ling didn't want any of them. The Lu family's foundation was too weak. What if the warriors of the Sixth Tribulation they recruited were spies? The Lu family had no territory to support warriors of the Sixth Tribulation. Yin family and Qi family always had two patriarchs at the City of Mystic Armor. They didn't have to worry about their safety. The Tsang family was finished. There were still many powerful warriors on the battlefield, but they were no longer a threat to the Yin family. Everything seemed to be going in the right direction. During the 6 years, Luli had made great progress. 3 years ago, he had passed the Sixth Heaven's tribulation and reached the Lord Realm. He had made some progress in the refinement of his Dharma form, and his physical body was improved as well. In 2 or 3 years at most, he could attempt the Seventh Heaven's tribulation. When he succeeded, he would be a real warrior of the Emperor Realm. Another 1.5 years passed. The peace of the Third Heaven was finally broken. The Asmodean warriors of the demonic abyss at the Southern Theater of Operations suddenly launched a large-scale attack. Tens of millions of them were mobilized at once, and they smashed at the human defense line like a storm. 3 days. In merely 3 days, 3 or 4 of the 10 defense lines built by humans were destroyed. Millions of human warriors died, and dozens of lords were killed. The Southern Theater of Operations was shaken. The entire Third Heaven was in a state of panic. Emperor Candle Heaven went to the battlefield in person and asked the Reincarnation Emperor for reinforcements. The Reincarnation Emperor mobilized tens of millions of warriors and sent 3 warriors of the Emperor Realm. However, as soon as the armies and powerful warriors were mobilized, the Asmodean warriors of the demonic abyss at the Northern Theater of Operations swarmed out as well. They began to smash at the human defense line. A full-scale war broke out. Chapter 2853. For more than a decade, the abyss of demons and humans had maintained a balance. Both sides would send out a small number of warriors to fight each other. Rarely would there be large-scale battles. Therefore, after all these years, many places had even forgotten about the threat of the abyss of demons. Life went on as usual. The armies of the abyss of demons would not come. Even if the abyss of demons were to go on a rampage, there was still Reincarnation Emperor and Heaven Candle. Now, almost all of the demon abyss soldiers in the 2 war zones had been mobilized. They had broken through 6 or 7 lines of defense set up by the human race. In half a month, nearly 10 million soldiers had died in battle, and many of them were famous experts. When the news spread, the entire Third Heaven was shaken. Once again, the Third Heaven felt the threat of the abyss of demons was so close. The crisis of the Third Heaven was right in front of them. If the human line of defense was broken and the armies of the abyss of demons spread out, then the Third Heaven would be doomed. How could regular warriors and civilians fight against the abyss of demons? At that time, it would truly be a great catastrophe. On the 20th day, Reincarnation Emperor and Heaven Candle issued an announcement at the same time, asking the families and powerful warriors of the Third Heaven to go to the 2 battlefields for support. The attacks of the abyss of demons were too fierce. 8 and 9 lines of defense had been broken. Even though they could hold out for now, the 2 emperors hoped the families of the Third Heaven could send help. Many families responded. Many senior warriors of the families took the Qi family's door of interspatial teleportation to the 2 battlefields. Powerful warriors gathered at the 2 battlefields, and the line of defense was stabilized. But it seemed that the abyss of demons had made up their minds to break through the line of defense. Powerful warriors and warriors of the abyss of demons were still fighting with all their might. More powerful warriors and warriors of the Third Heaven went to the 2 battlefields. Almost half of the powerful warriors of the Third Heaven went to the 2 battlefields. Now the Third Heaven was fighting against the abyss of demons with all its strength. The line of defense became more stable after the powerful warriors arrived. The news spread out and the Third Heaven became more stable. With the line of defense stabilized, the abyss of demons could not break through. As long as the abyss of demons could not break through, the other places would be safe. Civilians of the Third Heaven would not be in danger. Luli had been cultivating at the Reincarnation Mountain but he was the first to hear the news. Chi Ding Dong would bring him the news immediately. At first, Luli was worried. He almost went to the Northern Theater of Operations to help. But when he heard that the situation was stabilized, he stayed. Since Luli was not cultivating fundamental law, he could stop at any time. Chi Ding Dong was the happiest during this period of time. When she was free, she would come over and hang out with Luli. Because there was no wedding, the two of them did not break through the final step. Another month had passed, and Luli thought the situation had stabilized. However, Chi Ding Dong suddenly came back, and he looked terrible. Luli opened his eyes and saw Chi Ding Dong's expression. Luli's heart sank. He stood up and asked, "What is it?" "Something big has happened." Chi Ding Dong's delicate body trembled as she said. A passage appeared on the Divine Wind continent, and then countless demon abyss soldiers rushed out. Almost all of the experts and troops from the Divine Wind continent have been mobilized to the southern war zone, so the demon abyss army is unstoppable, and they are wreaking havoc everywhere. Chi Ding Dong took a deep breath and continued, "It's fine if it's just looting and slowly spreading out in all directions. The thing is, the demon abyss army seems to have planned this. There are 10,000 of them in one team, and they are divided into small groups. They are flying to all directions. It has only been 5 days, and half of the demon abyss army has been discovered at the Divine Wind continent. If they are not cleaned up, in a couple of years, the entire third heaven will be filled with demon abyss army." Lu Li's face darkened. He smelled a conspiracy. The demon abyss army was attacking at 2 battlefields at the same time, attracting almost all the powerful warriors and troops from the Divine Wind continent. Then they rushed out from the passage. What was more, they didn't rush out to build dens, but to spread out. Clearly, this was a premeditated, organized, and strategically planned attack. The demon abyss army was dangerous because many of them could control humans with their demonic souls. Powerful warriors could be controlled, but it would be difficult. However, once low-level warriors encountered the demon abyss army, they would be demonized in droves. Millions of warriors were divided into hundreds and spread out. Everywhere they went, low-level warriors would be turned into demon slaves. By then, these demon slaves would wreak havoc everywhere. The entire Divine Wind continent would become hell. If the demon abyss army rushed out of the Divine Wind continent and went to the Silver Flame Sea, the Ziyang continent, or the Flying Fire continent, the wider they spread, the more difficult it would be to clean up and the greater the danger to the third heaven. Imagine if all the demon abyss army spread out, the entire third heaven would be filled with demon abyss warriors. If the demon abyss army appeared in a city, that city would be a dead city. By then, the population of the entire third heaven would be reduced. That would be a catastrophe. The most critical problem. There were many powerful warriors from the demon abyss at the 2 battlefields. The human race could not send many powerful warriors and troops to clean them up. Otherwise, if there were too many, the defense line at the 2 battlefields would be broken. By then, it would be more troublesome. We must clean up the demon abyss army at the Divine Wind continent as soon as possible. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Luli shouted. Chi Ding Dong nodded and said, "Our family patriarch said the same thing. He has mobilized many warriors to teleport over. He asked me to come and ask you to go to the godly Windland to wipe out the abyssal warriors. He said you don't have to go with the army. You alone can fight against millions of warriors. He also said that there should be no powerful warriors of the Demon Lord level at the Divine Wind continent. He has sent Emperor Realm warriors to seal off the passage there. He wants you and a group of young elites to clean up the Demon Abyss army at the Divine Wind continent as soon as possible." Reincarnation Emperor knew Lu Li's skills well. He knew that Lu Li had the ability to fly across the void and new soul attacks. He could attack in groups, which was effective against the low-level Demon Abyss army. It was a difficult task. Lu Li felt like a mountain was pressing down on him. He knew very well that the Demon Abyss army had dispersed. It would be inefficient to encircle them with the army. It would be better to send some elite warriors over to speed up the process. You stay here. I will go to the Divine Wind continent right now. Lu Li shouted. He could not afford to waste any more time. For every breath he took, more people would die at the Divine Wind Continent. Phoenix Empress territory was at the Divine Wind Continent, but Luli couldn't afford to worry about that now. "No, I will go with you," Chi Ding Dong said resolutely. Luli waved his hand and rushed out. He said, "Go with the others. I can be more efficient when I am alone. Listen to me." Luli went into the castle and rushed into the interspatial portal. Chi Ding Dong pouted, but said nothing. She was well aware that her abilities were much weaker than Luli's. Going with Luli would only drag her down. Luli teleported out from the interspatial portal and arrived at the spatial city. Then, he soared into the sky and quickly descended, arriving near Space Gate. Many warriors were teleporting here. Luli didn't have time to worry about that. He shouted, "Move! Let me go first." The warriors nearby were unhappy. How could someone cut in line at a time like this? Seeing that it was Luli, the patriarch of the Qi family shouted without any hesitation, "Move! Let General Yong go first. He alone is comparable to an army of 1,000,000. Chapter 2854. The third heaven was in chaos. Not only the Divine Wind Continent, but the rest of the continents and sea regions were also in chaos. Now, countless people were not thinking about going to the Divine Wind Continent to encircle the Abyss Devil army, but to escape. The entire third heaven felt unsafe. Where should they go? To mystic realms, to other small worlds, to the second heaven's domain. Although the third layer of heaven had been destroyed, and the other places were also finished, staying here now might not be long before they encountered the Demon Abyss army. They would either die immediately or become a demon slave. It was better to die later than die earlier. Maybe there would be a turn for the better? The Divine Wind Continent was even more chaotic. Countless people were frantically gathering towards the cities, hiding in the cities or finding ways to teleport away. But where could so many people teleport to? If they teleported to other cities, those cities were also full of people. A few Thear-cranked martial artists came to the Divine Wind Continent, and the Phoenix Empress immediately returned to take charge. After all, many of the territories here belonged to the Shan clan. If the Shan clan was destroyed, what was the point of killing more Abyss Devil army in the southern battlefield? The Phoenix Empress was still rational and did not ask the Shan clan to move immediately. Instead, she gave an order. The citizens of the third heaven were to gather in the cities as much as possible and were not to teleport randomly. There were too many people, and it was impossible to teleport. Instead, it would delay the teleportation of reinforcements. The southern and northern battlefields urgently mobilized some troops and experts, but most of the troops were mobilized to the cities on the periphery of the Divine Wind Continent. The purpose was to surround the Divine Wind Continent and not let the Abyss Devil army rush out. A continent suffering a calamity was better than the entire third heaven suffering a calamity. As long as the Divine Wind Continent was surrounded, they could slowly tighten the pocket and wipe out the Abyss Devil army bit by bit. The Divine Wind Continent might suffer a great loss this way, but it was the safest way. If the Abyss Devil army rushed out, it would be a catastrophe for the entire third heaven. At the same time, the Phoenix Empress brought a few Thear-cranked martial artists to the vicinity of the passage. She wanted to do everything possible to destroy or seal the passage so that no more Abyss Devil army and experts could rush out. The Divine Wind Continent was now riddled with holes, and the Abyss Devil army was everywhere. This time, the Abyss Devil army did not advance step by step and occupy the territory bit by bit. Instead, they formed a unit of 10,000 soldiers and roamed in all directions. Wherever they went, they would kill anyone they saw and turn into demons whenever they saw low-level human martial artists. Smoke rose from all directions. Now, there was no accurate information, and no one knew where the Demon Abyss soldiers were. There were Demon Abyss soldiers everywhere, and in just a few days, hundreds of cities had fallen, not to mention the tribes outside. At this moment, no one knew how many people had died or been demonized. It was estimated to be at least 100 million. The reincarnation Heavenly Emperor issued an announcement, summoning all Fifth Tribulation and Sixth Tribulation martial artists who possessed massive destructive power and abnormal speed to the Divine Wind Continent to eliminate the Demon Abyss army. Relying on the army to clear out the enemy was too slow, and there weren't that many troops to be mobilized there either. Only elites who were fast and efficient in killing the enemy would be the most suitable. Luli was this kind of elite. Luli was not of much use at the southern and northern battlefields, but going to the Wind Continent was the best choice. He immediately teleported to the Divine Wind Continent. After arriving, he inquired about the situation and immediately flew through the void. It was too late to wait for the scouts to gather information. They might as well fly through the void and go wherever they wanted. That way, it would be easier to find the Demon Abyss soldiers. Buzz! Luli flew through the void for dozens of times before he finally found the Demon Abyss soldiers. He appeared near a small city that had been reduced to ruins. He used psychic power to check. His eyes were filled with killing intent. There were Demon Abyss soldiers everywhere in the city. There were also many civilians in the city, but most of them had either been killed or turned into demon slaves. Now, only a small corner of the northern city district was left with more than 10,000 human race martial artists struggling to hold on. Most of the buildings in the city were destroyed. The city was covered in bodies, broken limbs, and blood tainted the entire city red. The beautiful city had turned into hell. Many children were enslaved. At the moment, driven by the Demon Abyss warriors, the Demon Abyss warriors were dashing toward the human warriors who were struggling to survive. "Go to hell," Luli shouted in rage. He used Dragon Roar, and his voice shook heaven and earth. His body turned into a stream of light and quickly rushed into the city. There were many Demon Abyss warriors outside the city. The average ones were not intelligent. Seeing Luli coming, they yelled and charged toward him. Luli released the painted armor of Origin Energy. A soft sword appeared in his hand, and then he used Soul of Wind. He did not lose his mind because of rage. Even though his other attacks could kill the Demon Abyss warriors quickly, they were not as fast as soul attacks. Both Soul of Wind and Law of Sound were used to attack groups of people. Using the Law of Sound with the horn would be faster. That being said, there were more than 10,000 warriors in the city. Luli didn't want to affect them, so he used Soul of Wind. Gust of wind blew over, and each gust would attack a Demon Abyss warrior automatically. As soon as the gust of wind blew over, the Demon Abyss warrior would roll on the ground with his head in his hands, losing the ability to fight. Luli's soul energy had become soul needles, which were powerful. Also, his soul was as strong as a warrior at the middle stage of the Emperor realm. The average Demon Abyss warriors could not stand it. There should be a team of Demon Abyss warriors in the city. There were 7,000 or 8,000 of them. Some had died. At the moment, there were 3,000 or 4,000 charging toward Luli. But in the time for a dozen breaths, all of them had fallen to the ground. Luli didn't go and kill the Demon Abyss warriors. Instead, he rushed into the city. He used psychic power to check on several demon generals. They must be the commanders of the Demon Abyss warriors. Demon generals were intelligent. Seeing that Luli could defeat thousands of Demon Abyss warriors easily, one of the Demon Abyss warriors roared. The rest of the Demon Abyss warriors ran to all sides. "You want to run?" Luli sneered. He dashed over, and with one move, the demon general was reduced to a mist of blood. First, Luli cleared out the Demon Abyss warriors near the city and then went after them. Looking at a warrior at the peak of the Fifth Tribulation among the thousands of warriors, Luli said, "Kill all the demon slaves. They are under the control of demon souls. They're like living dead. Show no mercy. Also, get someone to kill the Demon Abyss warriors outside. They have lost the ability to fight." Luli flew away like a gust of wind. He came and left so fast that many people didn't even have time to react. It wasn't until Luli's voice was heard that they were relieved to have survived a disaster. "That is Luli, General Yong. I have seen his portrait. General Yong, he saved us. We are alive. We are all alive. Thank you, General Yong. We will remember this for generations to come." Many people cheered. Although the peak of the fifth tribulation was also very excited, he was still rational. He shouted in a deep voice, "Now is not the time to relax. Everyone, listen to General Yongi. Kill all these demonic slaves and bury them properly later. Later, kill the demon abyss warriors outside the city and avenge those who died in the city." This group of warriors had lost all hope. There were hundreds of thousands of people in the city. Most of them were torn apart or controlled by the demon abyss warriors. They thought they would die soon or become demon slaves. They did not expect that Luli would descend from the sky and defeat thousands of demon abyss soldiers by himself, saving them from the clutches of death. Chapter 2855. Corpses, Blood, Hell. This was what Luli felt after wandering around the godly wind for a month. He couldn't remember how many bodies he had seen, how many tribes had been massacred, how many cities had been turned into ruins, how many broken limbs he had seen, and how many Asmodeans were running around in the wild. It was as if he had returned to the divinity that was massacred by the realm of demons. The divinity here was more miserable than the divinity. There were more casualties, and the situation was more serious. If the abyss of demon warriors were allowed to spread out, Luli could not imagine what would happen to the third heaven. Therefore, he had been flying around the void, looking for the abyss of demon warriors without any sleep or rest. As expected, there were no powerful warriors from the abyss of demon here. He only found a few Asmodean masters. The abyss of demon was premeditated, strategized, and organized. The purpose of attacking the godly wind continent was not to conquer a large territory, but to create chaos in the third heaven and disrupt the deployment of humans. Fortunately, Reincarnation Emperor and Candle Heaven were rational. If they had mobilized a large number of powerful warriors and armies, the two battle zones would have been breached and the third heaven would be doomed. However, while Luli was doing this, a question came to his mind. Was there a Saint King in the third heaven? If there was a Saint Emperor in the third heaven, why hadn't the Saint Emperor appeared at this critical moment? Many people would die at the godly wind continent. Low-level warriors were the foundation of the third heaven. Without a large number of low-level warriors, how could powerful warriors be nurtured? So many people were suffering. If there was a Saint King in the third heaven, how could he just sit on the sidelines and watch? The situation at the godly wind continent was tragic, but the two emperors didn't mobilize too many warriors and powerful warriors because they couldn't find enough. The two battle zones were still under attack. They were the main battle zones. The abyss of demon warriors at the godly wind continent had spread out. Even with hundreds of millions of warriors, it would be hard to clear them out in a short time. Therefore, the two emperors only mobilized tens of millions of warriors to surround the godly wind continent in case the abyss of demon warriors broke out from the godly wind continent. In addition, many warriors at the peak of the fifth tribulation and sixth tribulation were mobilized to clear the abyss of demon warriors. Most of them were those on the rookie list, such as Lu Li, Lu Ling, and the unknown Lady of Exquisite. This kind of elite would not be able to perform well in the two battlefields. Instead, they might be killed by the demon sovereigns of the demon abyss, so they would not be able to play a big role in the two battlefields. Leaving them in the divine wind continent would allow them to display their combat strength and hone their combat experience. More than half of the Rising Stars list had come. Lu Ling, Zhu Fan, the grandson of Emperor Candle Heaven of the Exquisite family, and others were all here. The divine wind continent had also turned into a super huge martial arena. Countless pairs of eyes were staring at this group of elites from the rookie list. They were the future supreme powerhouses of the human race. Without a doubt, Luli's performance was the most outstanding so far. He had the ability to fly across the void, which made it easy for him to travel to different places. Now that many of the transmission arrays in the divine wind continent had been destroyed, one could only rely on their own spirit techniques to travel. Lu Li was a powerful warrior. He could kill all the abyssal demon warriors he encountered. None of them could escape. Many scouts had gone to the third heaven to search for the demon abyss army. investigate the situation, and compile battle reports. All the abyssal demon warriors that Lu Li killed were special. When they died, they were in pain and would suffer strong soul attacks. In the past month, according to the scouts, Lu Li had killed at least 1 million abyssal demon warriors, which was more than the total number of the others. It was not that the others were weak. It was just that the abyssal demon warriors were scattered. It was difficult to find them. In the beginning, there were 10,000 warriors in small teams. Now, there were hundreds in a team. They were scattered across the Divine Wind continent like a swarm of bees. All the families at the Divine Wind continent had suffered a great loss. Even the Shan family, where Phoenix Queen was from, had suffered heavy casualties. As a family of a great emperor, the Shan family controlled more than a dozen areas, both overtly and covertly. More than half of those areas were occupied by abyssal demon warriors. More than half of the civilians there had been killed or injured. Many cities had been breached. The Tsang family and the dozens of other families suffered the most. They had just moved over. Phoenix Queen had given them an area where their families were scattered. They had just taken control of the area not long ago. However, there were more than 100,000 abyssal demon warriors. Among the Tsang family and the dozens of other families, there were not many powerful warriors. More than half of them had become abyssal slaves or corpses. The list of rookies was rearranged. Lu Li was now the undisputed number one. The list of rookies was not only about combat abilities, but also about contributions. Lu Li had made great contributions at the Divine Wind continent. Many lives were saved. Nobody could deny this. The John Doe was still number two. He was a star at the Divine Wind continent as well. It had been confirmed that he was of the E race. He was fast, and his abilities had reached the Emperor realm. He was half a step away from the Emperor realm. Over the years, the John Doe had been growing fast. He had reached the Lord realm. Many people believed that reaching the Emperor realm was a sure thing. Zhu Fan was ranked third. He was the favorite grandson of the Candle Sky Great Emperor. His talent was extraordinary, and his battle prowess was tyrannical. In addition, he had the Emperor Weapon Battle Armor and Emperor Weapon Battle Saber. Emperor Torch of Heaven's reputation had been tarnished recently. Zhu Fan seemed to want to redeem his grandpa's reputation. He traveled the Divine Wind continent alone with his saber and made great contributions. The number of abyssal demon warriors he killed was second only to Lu Li and the John Doe. Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long did well as well. After Lu Ling settled down at the Lu family, she teleported here. Fighting here was not only to save people of the Divine Wind continent, but also to gain experience. It was a good chance to make breakthroughs in battles. Elites of the third plane gathered here, as well as elites from other families. The Divine Wind continent seemed to have become a stage for young disciples to compete. At least 400 of the top 500 on the list of rookies were here. Inevitably, there were casualties among the human elites as well. Dozens of elites on the list of rookies had died. There were no powerful warriors of the Asmodean Lord level, but there were many Asmodean Lords. Some of the Asmodean Lords were as powerful as Emperor Realm warriors. How could the average rookie survive? There were more young masters from wealthy families. They were here to make a name for themselves and to attract the attention of beauties like Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long. Those young masters were not powerful, but they were showy. They only brought a small number of attendants to the Divine Wind continent. Naturally, they were torn apart alive by the powerful warriors from the abyss of demons. Lu Li knew that Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long were here, but he did not have the time to go to them. He was worried about them. That being said, the Xiang family and the Dragon Rebel race would not let the two of them fight on their own. They must have patriarchs with them. As for the human race, who would dare to act rashly in the face of disaster? Even if he ran into Phoenix Queen and Yang Emperor, they wouldn't dare to kill him, let alone Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long. Finally, the tunnel to the abyss of demons was sealed. Phoenix Queen and several emperors worked together to seal it. That being said, the emperors were still afraid to leave. They had been guarding and reinforcing the seal to make sure that no more abyssal demon warriors would come out. Catching turtles in a jar, the Divine Wind continent was surrounded. Many elite warriors were hunting down abyssal demon warriors. It was only a matter of time before the abyssal demon warriors were eliminated. Chapter 2856. It had been more than 3 months. More than half of the Abyss army at the Godly Wind continent had been wiped out. The entire continent had been plundered. Some people estimated that the population here had been reduced by at least 40%. It would take tens of thousands of years for the Godly Wind continent to recover. Despite the heavy losses, the overall situation was stabilized. The defense lines at the 2 battlefields were not breached. Instead, the Abyss army was pushed back. The Abyss army suffered heavy casualties as well. At least tens of millions of Abyss army were wiped out. The battlefields were stabilized. Most of the Abyss army at the Godly Wind continent were killed as well. There would be no more trouble. The third heaven was stabilized. So far, no Abyss army had come out of the third heaven. However, something had happened that gave the third heaven a headache. Many warriors were controlled by high-level demon masters. Warriors controlled by ordinary demon Abyss soldiers were no different from walking corpses, but demon slaves controlled by demon masters were different. On the surface, these demon slaves were no different from regular humans. Their behavior was not abnormal either. They were just regular humans. But they were slaves of demon masters. When they were released at critical moments, they could bring great harm to humans. For example, a while ago, a young master of the Shan family was controlled by a demon master in a city of the Shan family. He actually took the initiative to open the barrier of the city. Then a demon master controlled the demon Abyss army that was lying in ambush nearby and rushed in. If it were not for Phoenix Queen, the city would have become a dead city. Fortresses were the easiest to break from the inside. This was the main city of the Shan family with a population of over 10 million. Many of them were from the Shan family. But a demon master controlled tens of thousands of Abyss army and half of the population was lost. This was not the first time. It had happened more than a dozen times. Demon masters were highly intelligent. Many demon masters came to the Godly Wind continent as well. Those demon masters were smart. Once they encountered powerful human warriors, they would run away at once. Luli was in this situation several times. He found the demon master, but the demon master controlled the Abyss army to charge at him. By the time Luli killed the Abyss army, the demon master had run away. Demon masters were as powerful as human lords. They were fast and good at hiding. They were hard to kill. The demon masters who had rushed into the Divine Wind continent had probably also received an order. Their mission was not to occupy a large territory, but to kill as many human martial artists as possible and cause as much destruction as possible, causing great damage to the human race's vitality. Xiao. In the wilderness, a figure was flying at high speed. His divine sense was scanning the surroundings. He had a head of white hair, and his resolute face was filled with exhaustion. However, he did not stop to rest. He continued to fly at high speed, searching for enemies. Luli hadn't rested for more than 2 months. At the moment, he was tracking down a demon master. This demon master was very cunning and managed to escape several times. Luli would rather kill one Asmodean lord than to kill 100,000 Asmodean lord because of what happened to the Shan family city. The demon master's destructive power was too strong. Ordinary demon Abyss soldiers didn't have high spiritual intelligence, so they only knew how to fight and charge. For example, if a large human city's defensive array was very strong, if there was no demon lord nearby to control it, the demon Abyss soldiers would constantly surround and attack the city. This kind of demon Abyss soldiers would be very easy to deal with. There was no need for someone of his level to take action. 2 lords would be enough to kill them all. Demon masters were different. Demon masters also knew how to hide among ordinary demon Abyss soldiers. When they hid, they could kill a human elite at a critical moment. They could also easily break into a city and kill all the human warriors and citizens inside, turning them into demon slaves. While flying, Luli noticed some ripples in the space to his left. He checked with psychic power, but soon he forgot about it. That was because a lord and 2 young warriors were flying towards them. Clearly, They were two young masters from wealthy families. Their families had sent a patriarch to protect them. The three young masters noticed Lu Li as well. They flew over quickly. One of the young masters shouted from the distance, "General Yong, I am Chiu Li from the Chiu family at the Western Yuan continent. It is my honor to meet you today." Western Yuan continent? Lu Li stopped in midair and frowned. The Western Yuan continent was at the west. It was also a small land, a bit larger than the Xi'an continent. Disciples from the major families there rarely came here. Today he had met one. Lu Li had met many young masters from major families. He didn't think much of them. He just nodded and said, "You are welcome. Be careful. There is a demon master nearby." Demon master? That young master Chiu was surprised. The three of them kept flying toward Lu Li. That young master Chiu seemed to have remembered something and said, "I think we just passed by a mountain with strong demonic qi. Our patriarch felt it was dangerous, so he didn't go and check. General Yong, do you want us to take you there?" "Okay." Lu Li nodded. He had been looking for this demon master for half a day without success. If he was in that mountain, it would save him a lot of trouble. "Wait!" That young master Chiu suddenly shouted. He looked behind Lu Li in fear and said, "The demon master is over there. He is coming out." Out of instinct, Lu Li looked back, but there was nothing behind him. There was nothing there. Lu Li suddenly came to his senses. He looked back at once, only to see the two young masters Chiu and the Lord with vicious looks in their eyes. There was a faint red glare coming at him. The three of them are under the control of the demon master? Lu Li sighed, but he didn't panic. The armor of origin energy appeared over his body. He took out a soft sword and released the law of sound. 3 attacks landed on him, but didn't inflict any damage. The armor of origin energy could not be cracked by average warriors. The two young masters of the Chiu family were only at the peak of the 5th tribulation, and the Lord was not that strong. How could they crack Lu Li's defense? Buzzing. Lu Li released the law of sound. The three of them rolled around in midair with their hands over their heads, screaming miserably. Lu Li was filled with killing intent. The three of them were humans, but their souls were under the control of the demon master. Keeping them alive would only bring harm to the human world. This kind of demon slave was hard to deal with. To restore them was as difficult as ascending to heaven. Whoosh! Right when Lu Li was about to kill them, there came another noise from a distance. Several streaks of psychic power came over. Lu Li had already begun his attack. He wouldn't stop just because someone was coming. Boom! Lu Li crushed the head of a young master of the Chiu family with one punch and killed the Lord with another. When he was about to finish the other young master of the Chiu family, an angry shout came from the distance. "Stop! Lu Li, what are you doing?" Boom! Lu Li ignored the shout from the distance and killed the other one with one punch. He put away the 3 interspatial rings and then looked to the east, where the 6 people were flying over at a high speed. Of the 6, 3 were young masters and young mistresses dressed in gorgeous battle armor with extraordinary bearings. The remaining 3 were all quasi-emperors. The 3 quasi-emperors were standing behind the 3 young masters and young ladies. It was not hard to imagine that the 3 of them must be of high status. Lu Li happened to have seen a portrait of one of them. He knew that this person was a young master at the 3rd heaven. Zhu Fan, the youngest grandson of Emperor Candle Heaven. Chapter 28:57. Zhu Fan. Zhu Fan was said to be the most powerful young master in the 3rd heaven. Not only was he the favorite grandson of Emperor Candle Heaven and had a powerful background, but he was also very powerful himself. Many people believed that he would definitely reach the Emperor realm. Lu Li was powerful. Many people believed that he had reached the Emperor realm. But for many young ladies, Zhu Fan was the most ideal partner. Why? Because Zhu Fan had a powerful background, but Lu Li didn't. Emperor Candle Heaven was one of the 3 most powerful emperors in the 3rd heaven. The Zhu family had 2 more Emperor Realm warriors, and Emperor Candle Heaven had an old servant. More than that, the Zhu family had more than a dozen Emperor Realm warriors. The Zhu family was known as the most powerful family in the 3rd heaven. Reincarnation Emperor was powerful as well. The spatial city was one of the top forces in the third heaven. However, the Qi family only had one Emperor Realm warrior. The Qi family didn't have any outstanding disciples. Qi Tianyu was one, but he died. Lu Li was powerful indeed. The problem was that there were many Emperor Realm warriors in the third heaven. There were at least 60 to 70 reclusive emperors. Many Emperor Realm warriors have been cultivating for hundreds of thousands of years, but there was still a huge gap between them and Emperor Candle Heaven. Therefore, the gap between Lu Li and Emperor Candle Heaven and the Zhu family was obvious. What kind of people were there in the Lu family of the chilly winterland? Even their family patriarch, Lu Ren Wang, was at the third heaven. This was a bit shameful. Reincarnation Emperor had been supporting Lu Li, but Lu Li's family name was not Qi after all. Zhu Fan had a good temperament as well. He was noble and had a strong aura. He was handsome, and there was a sense of superiority in him. He flew over with his men. His eyes were filled with coldness. He looked at Lu Li angrily. Zhu Fan never had a good impression of Lu Li. He was jealous because of Ling Long and Qi Ding Dong. Later, Lu Li slapped Emperor Candle Heaven in the face, which made him unhappy. His grandpa was a man of virtue and prestige. Lu Li, a bastard that came out of nowhere, slapped his grandpa in the face. In the end, his grandpa put up with it. As far as Zhu Fan was concerned, Lu Li was a mortal enemy. If it were not for the fact that he hadn't passed the third heaven's catastrophe yet, he would have come to Lu Li a long time ago. This seemed to be a good opportunity. Zhu Fan flew over with some warriors. He shouted at Lu Li again. Lu Li, do you think you can do whatever you want just because the Reincarnation Emperor is protecting you? Lu Li threw Zhu Fan a casual look and then a young master and a young lady next to him. They were quite powerful as well, at the later stage of the sixth tribulation. They must be the descendants of two emperors. He was silent for a moment before replying. These three people are being controlled by the Devil Lord. If it were someone else, Lu Li wouldn't bother to explain. But Zhu Fan was of a different status. Lu Li was afraid that Zhu Fan would spread rumors, so he explained. Zhu Fan sneered and said, Chili met us a few days ago. Are they controlled by the Devil Lord? I think you're being controlled by the Demon Master. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Lu Li didn't want to waste any more time. He wanted to leave. He still had to find that Devil Lord, so he didn't have time to waste with this young Master Zhu. You want to leave just like that? A black whip appeared in Zhu Fan's hand. He swung at Lu Li, trying to entangle him. Zhu Fan shouted, If you don't make things clear today, you will not be going anywhere. Swish, that black whip was clearly a piece of treasure. It whooshed across the sky and created a loud noise. After Zhu Fan made his move, the three quasi-emperors behind him were all on guard, ready to take action at any time. The brown-haired young master next to Zhu Fan took out his weapon as well. The other beautiful young lady in red armor with an impressive figure frowned and stepped back for dozens of feet. Seeing that Zhu Fan had made a move, Lu Li's eyes grew colder. He released his source energy and grabbed at the whip. He grabbed it easily, pulled it back, stared at Zhu Fan coldly, and said, Young Master Zhu, do you think you can become an inspector of the third heaven just because your grandpa is the commander-in-chief of the Southern Theater of Operations? Even if you're an inspector, there are some people that you cannot control. Lu Li used his source energy and exerted force. The whip was broken by him. At the same time, killing intent surged out from him. That powerful aura blotted out the sky and pressed down on them, causing Zhu Fan and the others to feel extremely oppressed. Zhu Fan's curly hair was a bit of a burgundy color. His eyes were blue. His eyebrows were like swords, and his eyes were bright. He was tall and strong. His appearance was perfect. Even so, he was not afraid of Lu Li's power. Instead, he shouted with killing intent, Uncle and Uncle Lu, Uncle Chong, Lu Li has committed crimes and killed his own people. Let's take him down together and send him to the Southern Theater of Operations to be judged by the emperors. The three quasi-emperors were hesitating. The other young master nodded and said, The human race is facing a catastrophe. To fight against the abyss of demons, many humans have sacrificed their lives. Qiu Li and the others travel hundreds of millions of miles to get here from the Western Yuan continent. How could Lu Li kill them indiscriminately? Such evil deeds are unconscionable. We should take Lu Li down and ask the emperors to judge him. The young lady said nothing, but she could tell that Lu Li was disappointed. They did see Qiu Li a few days ago, and he was fine. No matter for what reason Lu Li killed the three, it was Lu Li's fault. At such a critical juncture, heroes of the human race should work together to overcome the difficulties. It was unjustifiable to kill one's own people. Take me down, Lu Li sneered. This young master of the Zhu family thought too highly of himself. Lu Li wouldn't care even if there were 10 more, let alone 3 quasi-emperors in them. Lu Li was fed up with these young masters. He said coldly, I, Lu Li, have always been open and above board. I don't need to explain to you. Piss off. Otherwise, don't blame me for not showing respect to your grandpa. Take him down. Lu Li's arrogance had enraged Zhu Fan. Zhu Fan never believed that Lu Li had reached the emperor realm. After all, how could a warrior at the 5th tribulation suddenly generate a Dharma realm and source of energy? It had been so many years, and he was only at the 6th tribulation. Zhu Fan's emperor realm armor glowed. A saber appeared in his hand. The saber was horrifying. One look, and anyone could tell that it was a sovereign realm weapon. He dashed toward Lu Li like a dragon and swung the saber at Lu Li. Do it! Seeing that Zhu Fan had left, the 3 quasi-emperors had no other choice but to follow him. If Zhu Fan was killed by Lu Li, how could they explain to Emperor Candle Heaven? Another brown-haired, young master followed Zhu Fan. Only the red-armored lady didn't move. Ha! Lu Li laughed. Since Zhu Fan was asking for trouble, then it was not his fault. With a loud roar, he unleashed his divine dragon transformation and turned into a dragon man. His blood and chi that resembled an ancient ferocious beast spread out, causing the crimson-armored woman in the distance to tremble. Piss off! Lu Li swept at Zhu Fan with his tail. Lu Li mobilized his source of energy to the dragon's tail to fight against Zhu Fan's saber. Sparks flew, and 2 of his scales were smashed into pieces. However, Zhu Fan was sent flying by a powerful force. He felt as if he had been hit by a mountain. Even with the protection of the sovereign realm weapon and armor, Zhu Fan spat out some blood. He was injured. Chapter 2858. In one move, Lu Li had torn off a quasi-emperor's arm. Everyone was stunned by his ferocity. Zhu Fan attacked with his sovereign weapon, and yet, he only managed to break 2 scales on Lu Li's tail. How strong was Lu Li's defense? The 2 quasi-emperors were frightened, and so was the other young master. Zhu Fan was the only one who was not frightened. Instead, Lu Li's words enraged him. Zhu Fan's spirit rose. Once again, he dashed toward Lu Li in a blur. He could not accept the reality. Lu Li was younger than him, and he didn't have Emperor's might. How could he have source energy? You are courting death. Seeing Zhu Fan coming at him, Lu Li moved quickly. He dodged Zhu Fan's attack easily and swept his tail. This time, Lu Li didn't knock Zhu Fan away. Instead, he was pulled up. Zhu Fan's tail was imbued with source energy. Zhu Fan tried his best to break free, only to realize that he could not. Lu Li pulled back his tail. Zhu Fan was dragged to Lu Li. Seeing Lu Li's cold and emotionless silver eyes, Zhu Fan finally felt scared. He shouted, Lu Li, what are you doing? Do you have the courage to kill me? General Yong, please show mercy. General Yong, calm down. General Yong. The 3 quasi-emperors shouted at the same time. Lu Li was so strong that they had given up the thought of fighting against him. They only hoped that Lu Li would not hurt Zhu Fan. Otherwise, none of them would be able to bear the consequences when Emperor Candle Heaven blamed them. I don't have the courage to kill you. Do you think I cannot kill you because you are wearing a sovereign weapon? Lu Li sneered. He punched at Zhu Fan's chest with force. His fist was imbued with source energy. It was horrifying. Zhu Fan felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him. Zhu Fan's internal organs were injured. Blood oozed out from his mouth. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Li kept punching. Every time, Zhu Fan would spit out blood as if he was hit by a mountain. He was panicking. At this rate, he would be killed by Lu Li. Lu Li didn't smash his head. Otherwise, if his head were to explode, his soul would be shattered. The three quasi-emperors were panicking. They looked at each other, not knowing what to do. One of them made up his mind to attack Lu Li to save Zhu Fan. But as soon as Lu Li threw him a cold glance, the man stopped moving. What Lu Li was trying to convey was clear. If this man dared to move, Lu Li would crush Zhu Fan's head and kick it around like a ball. That warrior made some calculations. He might not be able to hurt Lu Li. If Lu Li was enraged, Zhu Fan might really be killed by Lu Li. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Li kept on attacking. Even though Zhu Fan had a sovereign weapon and armor, his internal organs were shattered and his ribs were broken. Zhu Fan's chest was dyed red with blood, and his face had turned extremely pale. He glanced at Zhu Fan and asked, "Do you yield? Submit to your mother." Zhu Fan still had some backbone. He roared while clenching his teeth. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like a stubborn child. Since others were not convinced, Lu Li would beat them until they yielded. Lu Li punched again and again. This time, he was not aiming at Zhu Fan's chest, but at his head. Lu Li shouted in a cold voice, "If you are not convinced, then I will send you to hell. General Yong, no. General Yong, please have mercy." The three quasi-emperors begged again, but Lu Li ignored them. He kept on punching Zhu Fan. The coldness in his eyes and the killing intent made people wonder if Lu Li really wanted Zhu Fan dead. Boom, boom. After more than a dozen punches, Zhu Fan's head was cracked. For the first time, he sensed the danger of death. If Lu Li went on like this, he would not survive. Whoosh! One of the quasi-emperors could not stand it anymore. He tried to stab at Lu Li with his spear. Lu Li sneered and swung his dragon tail to shield Zhu Fan. If that quasi-emperor were to attack, the spear would have landed on Zhu Fan's head. Zhu Fan's head had been split open, and his forehead and face were covered in blood. If the spear had hit Zhu Fan, what if it had killed him? That quasi-emperor put away his spear and shouted, "Lu Li, don't push it too far. Think about it for you and the Lu family." What is there to think about? Lu Li shouted coldly, "Someone is trying to kill me, and I am not joking around. Who do you think Zhu Fan is? What right does he have to take me down? I, Lu Li, am a man of indomitable spirit. When we went to the abyss to destroy the altar, where was he? How many warriors of the abyss have I killed over the years? Did he kill more than me? I have no quarrel with that young Master Chiao. Why would I kill them? When the Tsang family attacked the Yin family, if it were not for me, the 300,000 captives would have been killed. You, Zhu Fan, have the right to question me, but not to take me down. You don't have the ability to do so either. Let your grandpa do it." With that said, Lu Li continued to strike at Zhu Fan's head in a more violent manner, as if he was going to kill Zhu Fan. At the same time, Lu Li stared at Zhu Fan with killing intent and shouted, "Do you surrender? I will kill you if you don't." Lu Li's killing intent was so strong that Zhu Fan felt he was enveloped by coldness. He was trembling and his teeth were chattering. Zhu Fan was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He had never been in a life-threatening situation. Every time he went on an adventure, there would be someone following him secretly. That was not a life-threatening situation. But this time, he felt Lu Li was trying to kill him. Rumor had it that Lu Li was a lunatic, a man who would not care about anything. When Lu Li was weak, he had the courage to wreak havoc at the godly Wind Land and even kill the patriarch of the Wu family at the Silver Flame Sea. Therefore, at first, Zhu Fan thought that Lu Li would not kill him. But now he felt he would die in Lu Li's hands if things went on like this. Even though he was aggrieved and unwilling, Zhu Fan made up his mind and said, "I surrender. I surrender." His voice was not loud, but it was heard by everyone. Lu Li stopped his attack, threw Zhu Fan away, and said with a cold smile, "Your grandpa is an illustrious man. How can I have a coward like you? If a warrior is afraid of death, then you will never be able to ascend to the peak. You are a disgrace." With that said, Lu Li snorted. He put away the bodies of Chiao Li and the others and flew away in a silver blur, leaving behind the badly injured Zhu Fan, the embarrassed quasi-emperors, and the two young masters and young ladies with complicated expressions. Lu Li was merciless. He was lecturing Zhu Fan as if he were his own grandson. Zhu Fan had never been humiliated like this. Could he bear it this time? Ah! Zhu Fan shouted. He was hysterical, and his expressions were ferocious. He shouted with sorrow, Lu Li, you and I are mortal enemies. If I can't kill you in this lifetime, I will not be a human being. I will not be a human being. Chapter 28:59. Lu Li left Zhu Fan alone to deal with the abyssal demon warriors. Zhu Fan and the others went back to the city. After several days of treatment, Zhu Fan went back to the southern theater of operations to complain to Emperor Candle Heaven. The three quasi-emperors told Zhu Fan not to complain and to handle the matter in a low-key manner. But Zhu Fan was filled with anger. How could he vent it? He couldn't do anything to Lu Li, so he had to turn to Emperor Candle Heaven. Pa! As soon as he finished speaking, Great Emperor Candle Heaven slapped him across the face and sent him flying. Zhu Fan was stunned. Emperor Candle Heaven had never hit him since he was a kid. Zhu Fan looked at Emperor Candle Heaven in confusion, feeling wronged. Good for nothing. What a disgrace. Emperor Candle Heaven was enraged. He stood up and said, Don't you know what you are capable of? How many quasi-emperors has Lu Li killed? You're going to throw yourself at him? You are humiliating me. Are you an idiot? Do you think Lu Li dares to kill you? You think he is not afraid that I will slaughter the entire Lu family? How can I have a fool like you? Zhu Fan touched his face, looking at Emperor Candle Heaven timidly, and said, Grandpa, I know I am wrong, but Lu Li has gone too far. Also, he killed Qiu Li and the others for no reason. If we don't deal with this, he will go to heaven. For no reason? Emperor Candle Heaven sneered and said angrily, Why did Lu Li take away Qiu Li and the others' bodies? Don't you have to think about it? Go and tell the world about it. In that case, Lu Li could release the three corpses. If he found the demonic qi in their souls, he could even throw the three corpses into the demon abyss warriors. The corpses would be stained with the demonic qi. By then, Lu Li would be in the wrong. You will be the laughing stock of the world. Do you understand? Zhu Fan was shocked. How could this be? How could this be? Biting his teeth, Zhu Fan shouted, I will not let him go. I will kill him. Wake up. Emperor Candle Heaven's shout was like a clap of thunder in Zhu Fan's ears. Zhu Fan, you are in danger. Do you know that? You've already been blinded by hatred. If this goes on, you'll have evil thoughts in your heart. Soon, Lu Li will become an Emperor Realm warrior. It will be extremely difficult for you to surpass him. You still want to kill him? When you realize that you can't surpass him or kill him, the demonic thoughts in your heart will grow deeper and deeper. At that time, you will be completely destroyed. Do you understand? Understood, I understand. Zhu Fan murmured. What would he dare to say when Great Emperor Candle Heaven was enraged? He could only agree. However, the seed of hatred had been planted. This kind of young master who had never suffered setback, once he received a heavy blow, it would be difficult for him to recover in a short period of time. Go back to the clan and reflect on your actions. Don't come out until you've thought things through. Great Emperor Candle Heaven waved his hand. Even someone as shrewd as Great Emperor Candle Heaven couldn't help but fly into a rage when he saw Zhu Fan leaving in a daze. His favorite grandson was probably going to be destroyed by Lu Li. If Zhu Fan developed a heart demon, he would never be able to break through to the Emperor rank. What Great Emperor Candle Heaven didn't expect was that the news would spread out so quickly. By the time he was about to order a lockdown, the news had spread to more than half of the Godly Wind continent. When Lu Li was fighting with Zhu Fan, there was a lot of fluctuation in space. It just so happened that there were several top-level scouts patrolling nearby. Some of them saw what happened from afar. At that time, everyone was stunned by Lu Li, so nobody paid attention to their surroundings. After Lu Li left, the scouts snuck away for fear that Zhu Fan would kill them out of anger. Lu Li fought against Zhu Fan, and he defeated 3 Emperor Realm warriors by himself. He almost killed Zhu Fan and forced him to admit his defeat. How could the scouts stand such a piece of shocking news? The news spread out quickly. What Lu Li said in the end was spread out and caused a sensation at the godly wind continent. The most famous young master. The most famous young master in the third heaven was defeated by Lu Li. Lu Li scolded him as if he was his grandson. Lu Li scolded him so badly. Naturally, those who liked to watch a show were excited. They spread the news as well. Because of Lu Li, Emperor Candle Heaven's reputation had already suffered a great loss. Now, Zhu Fan had become a laughingstock, and Emperor Candle Heaven's reputation had suffered another setback. Many people thought that great Emperor Candle Heaven would fly into a rage and at least demand an explanation from Lu Li as to why he killed Qiu Li and the others. However, great Emperor Candle Heaven didn't say anything. He remained silent. The more silent he was, the more furious he was. Many people were worried about Lu Li, but he didn't care. At least, great Emperor Candle Heaven wouldn't do anything out in the open, and no Emperor Realm Warrior dared to assassinate him. After all, he was at the third heaven. If an Emperor Realm Warrior dared to assassinate him, then the Reincarnation Emperor would fly into a rage, and that Emperor Realm Warrior would die for sure. Since no Emperor Realm Warrior dared to kill him, then he wouldn't be afraid no matter how many people came. Nobody would have the guts to touch the Lu family. Otherwise, if he was found out, he would fight to the death. Nobody had the guts to do that. The most important thing was that the Emperor Realm Warriors had to consider the big picture. Most of them had huge families. If the third heaven was destroyed, their families would be finished. If they acted recklessly, they would be digging their own graves. Lu Li didn't care about what was happening outside. He continued to track down the Demon Master. After 6 days, he finally found the Demon Master. The Demon Master was hiding in an abyss. It took Lu Li a lot of effort to suppress him. Tisk, tisk, it's useless even if you kill me. Your Middle King realms are destined to fall. When that time comes, your Middle King realms will become the slaves of the sacred abyss. You're doomed to fall forever, huh? The Demon Master roared before he died. Lu Li wanted to kill him right away, but he stopped. He sneered and said, "Your demon abyss has been attacking for so long, but you still haven't succeeded. Now that so many of your warriors have died, what else can you do to attack our Middle King realms? Puny human, what do you know?" The Demon Master sneered disdainfully and said, "All of this is under the control of our sacred ancestor. If it weren't for the fact that the holy altar was destroyed last time, your Middle King realms would have been destroyed a long time ago. 10 years, at most, in 10 years, your Middle King realms are destined to become the vassals of our sacred ancestor. You will also become our slaves, never to rise again, huh?" Lu Li frowned. He wanted to ask more, but the Demon Master kept saying the same thing. Lu Li had no choice but to kill the Demon Master. After he killed the Demon Master, Lu Li stood still in the abyss. The Demon Master spoke in the ancient language. Lu Li was sure that he didn't misunderstand the Demon Master. The Demon Master sounded very confident, which made Lu Li worry. Sacred Ancestor didn't need to say that it was the Demon Master's intention. It meant that the Demon Master did exist, and there were Saint Emperors in the abyss. If it weren't for the fact that they destroyed the altar last time, the Demon Master would have come. Everything was under the control of the sacred ancestor. The third heaven would be destroyed in 10 years. These two sentences made Lu Li's heart particularly heavy. If the prophecy was true, then the third heaven would have a big change. What was the change? Perhaps even the Reincarnation Emperor didn't know. Chapter 2860. Lu Li decided to go back after some thoughts. He found someone from the Qi family and told the Reincarnation Emperor about the Asmodean Lord's words. As for whether the Reincarnation Emperor would take this seriously or if he would have countermeasures, Lu Li didn't know. He couldn't care less. Lu Li continued to kill the demonic Abyss Warriors. He was the main force now. As long as most of the demonic Abyss Warriors were still at the godly Wind Continent, he would not go back. What happened to Zhu Fan had a great impact. Soon, the news spread across the third heaven. Zhu Fan's reputation was tarnished. The world worshipped powerful warriors and force. If a warrior was afraid of death, then he would be a coward. Even if he was afraid of death, he could not show it. Not to mention that Zhu Fan was the idol of many young ladies. Now that the idol had turned into a coward, he was despised by many. Many young ladies were disappointed. Many young ladies had been pursuing Zhu Fan, but now they had changed their minds. They were afraid that if the news got out, their reputations would be tarnished. Zhu Fan might not like them anymore. Zhu Fan went back to his family and was grounded. Nobody knew how long he would be grounded because Emperor Burning Heaven didn't say how long. For the Zhu family, Emperor Burning Heaven's words were like an imperial edict. Nobody dared to question him. Since he didn't want to talk, then he would be grounded. Many people of the Zhu family could not figure it out. It was Lu Li who had been arrogant and despotic. He had humiliated Zhu Fan and the Zhu family. Zhu Fan had suffered a lot. Why was he grounded? Everyone in the Zhu family held a grudge against Lu Li. Lu Li was too arrogant. Many young masters were gnashing their teeth, trying to get back at Lu Li. The thing was, even Zhu Fan was no match for Lu Li. Even several quasi-emperors couldn't defeat Lu Li. What did they rely on to kill Lu Li? Some senior warriors of the Zhu family bore in mind. They had a chance to kill Lu Li, but they could not do it openly. Otherwise, the prestige of the Zhu family would be further weakened. Zhu family didn't want to deal with the Lu family. For one thing, it was beneath their dignity to do so. For another, they knew very well that if they did anything to the Lu family without killing Lu Li, they would suffer from Lu Li's crazy revenge. In many people's eyes, Lu Li was a madman. Once he was angered, he wouldn't care about anything. Time continued to pass, and another 3 months had passed. The Divine Wind Continent's Demon Abyss soldiers were more or less cleared. The only thing that gave everyone a headache was that many human soldiers were controlled by high-level demon masters, and these people were hiding. Although countless people had died in the Divine Wind Continent, the population of such a large continent was still very large. If they were to screen them one by one, it would consume a lot of manpower and material resources. Ordinary martial artists would not be able to sense it. Only powerhouses would be able to sense demonic chi. Lu Li had made a great contribution this time. Based on a rough calculation, Lu Li had killed at least 2 million Abyss of demon warriors by himself and 9 Asmodeans in total. This time, there were about 7 to 8 million Abyssal Domain warriors and more than 20 to 30 Asmodeans. Lu Li had killed almost half of them by himself. There were hundreds of powerful warriors taking part in this mission. Lu Li alone was comparable to an army of 1 million. Many people at the Godly Windland were saved by Lu Li. Many people saw Lu Li as their benefactor and savior. Those people were simple and honest. They would be kind to whoever was kind to them. They would be grateful to whoever saved them. Lu Li had saved their lives, and they were grateful to him. Many people were ready to put up a longevity plaque for Lu Li. Not even emperors like Queen Phoenix could enjoy such treatment. Lu Li didn't feel it was a big deal. He had been fighting all this time. He was tired, but his abilities had improved, and he was more familiar with the control of source energy. Lu Li didn't go back. He was still hunting down an Asmodean Lord. This Asmodean Lord was powerful. When Lu Li was almost killed, the Asmodean Lord released a strange skill and ran away at the critical moment. Asmodean Lords were destructive. Naturally, Lu Li would not give up. He would not leave until he killed this Asmodean Lord. He traveled quickly in the wilderness, constantly activating the trace of Tao to sense the trace of demonic chi. He had been fighting for several months without any rest. There was one time when he could not stand it anymore. He went to a city and slept for 2 days. Not far away, after half a day, he sensed that the demonic chi was getting thicker. Lu Li was cheered up. He sped up and chased after the Asmodean Lord. After half a day, he came to an abyss. The demonic chi disappeared here. The Asmodean Lord must be down there. Lu Li consumed an elixir and flew down. He activated the trace of Tao to sense down there. Soon he frowned. The abyss was not big, and it was empty except for one tunnel. Clearly, the Asmodean Lord had entered this tunnel but did not know what it was connected to go in or not to go in. This was a problem. To be safe, it would be better to ask a great emperor to go with him. But Luli thought that this was just a Asmodean lord. Was it necessary to make a fuss? If people heard about it, they would think that he was afraid of an Asmodean lord. Let's go. Luli rushed down. For safety's sake, he released the armor of origin energy and dashed in. He found himself in a dim and gloomy world. The demonic chi in the air was thick. A gust of wind came from the distance, followed by a gust of cold air, which made Lu Li's hair stand on end. He used psychic power to check and found 3 Asmodean lords were coming. Lu Li frowned. Why were there so many demon masters here? Could this small world be connected to the demonic abyss? He didn't have much time to think. He immediately released the divine dragon transformation and started fighting with the 3 demon masters. With the support of the source strength, Lu Li had no problem dealing with the demon master. In addition, after activating the divine dragon transformation, his dragon claws became even sharper after circulating his origin energy. If a demon master were to get close to him, he could easily tear them apart. After an hour of hard fighting, the 3 Asmodeans were all killed by Lu Li. Lu Li deactivated the dragon transformation and rested where he was. He consumed some elixirs and began to think. He had followed a demon master here, but there were 3 demon masters here? There was definitely something strange going on here. Logically speaking, he should report to his superiors and request for a few overlord rankers to come down and investigate together. Otherwise, if there was a demon lord inside, he would definitely die inside. However, he had fought here just now. What if he alerted the experts of the Devil Abyss? What if the experts from the Demon Abyss had moved elsewhere? The words of the Demon Lord came to Lu Li's mind. He thought that the Demon Abyss must be plotting something. Maybe there was a big secret hidden here? Go! The more capable, the bolder. Lu Li strode in. He controlled his speed a bit and used the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. He followed the path in front of him. It was quiet around him. It was all wilderness, and there was nothing. There is light. An hour later, Lu Li suddenly saw a light in front of him. He used psychic power to check, and his eyes were wide open as if he had seen a ghost. Chapter 2861. Lu Li did see ghosts. Up ahead, he saw an entrance to the valley. Outside the entrance were many ghostly flames. In the valley, Lu Li saw many wandering ghosts. It was dim, chilly wind was blowing, ghostly flames were falling, and ghosts were roaring soundlessly. Even Lu Li, who had seen many things, felt his scalp tingling. What was more, there were powerful warriors from the Abyss of Devils here. Lu Li had the feeling that this was a secret base of the Abyss of Devils, where some unspeakable business was going on. There must be something wrong with the valley. Lu Li sensed the dense Asmodean chi in the valley. He moved closer and, at the same time, he used the trace of Tao to sense the situation in the valley. He was more than 20 miles away from the valley. The ghosts in the valley were alarmed, and they were moving toward Lu Li. Each of these malicious spirits had a green face and fangs. Their appearance was ugly and terrifying, and their aura was gloomy and terrifying. If it was an ordinary martial artist, they would have long been scared to the point of not being able to walk. Lu Li didn't leave. He had seen too many ghosts in the endless ruins of God and the hell. He took out a chariot. There were runes on the chariot, runes that were used to drive away ghosts. He stepped into the chariot. As he expected, the ghosts didn't dare to come closer. They wandered around, unwilling to leave or get closer. Lu Li steered the chariot closer to the valley. At the same time, he used the trace of Tao to sense the situation inside. If he used psychic power, he might be detected by the powerful warriors from the Abyss of Devils. Using the trace of Tao would not be so easy. The closer he was to the valley, the clearer he could sense the situation inside. The closer he got, the more shocked he was. The valley was large. He sensed a ruin in the valley. That was right. There was a ruin in the valley, and it was a very large building. It looked like a church. This church could not have been built by an average force. Even though it had become a ruin, one could still tell the magnificence of the church. How could there be such a magnificent church in a small world? How did the church become a ruin? Why would the powerful warriors from the abyss of devils come to this church? Luli sensed at least a dozen strands of Asmodean chi in the church. It meant that there were at least more than a dozen powerful warriors of the Asmodean lord level in here. There might be some Asmodean lords. Originally, Luli thought that there would only be 20 or 30 entering the godly wind continent this time. Little did he expect that there would be more than 10 demon masters here. Luli smelled a conspiracy. The dozen or so demon masters weren't wreaking havoc in the human cities. Instead, they were all gathered here. If there was no problem, Luli would cut off his own head and kick it like a ball. As Luli moved closer to the valley, he could sense the situation inside more clearly. Unfortunately, the valley was too big and the ruins of the church were too big. Luli could only sense a corner of it. If he wanted to sense everything, he would have to go in. There was a ghost fire at the entrance of the valley, and the temperature of the ghost fire was very high. The war chariot would definitely not be able to enter. If he came out of the war chariot, he would have to endure the attacks of the malicious spirits. It did not matter to him that his soul was strong, but he was afraid of alerting the demonic abyss powerhouses inside. Whatever. Now that he had come this far, Luli would not stop until he went in. He dashed out from the chariot. The ghosts around him came at him, and some of them snuck into his soul. Luli used the soul-devouring skill of ferocious creatures to devour the remnant souls of the ferocious ghosts. Those ghosts were not strong. What was more important was that Luli's soul was so strong that it was not a problem for him to devour the ghosts. He devoured them one by one. Luli carefully avoided the ghost fire at the entrance of the valley. The ghost fire was dense and drifting fast, forming an inescapable net. Careful as Luli was, he could not avoid the ghost fire. A piece of his skin was scorched. Enduring the pain, Luli dashed forward. After a moment, he made it into the church. There were complicated glyphs here. Luli asked Blood Fairy to go and check the glyphs as well as the surrounding situation. Don't go too far. There are many demon masters nearby. They have Asmodean energy. Maybe they can sense you, Luli said. Then, he tried his best to hide his energy. He moved forward carefully, using the trace of Asmodean to sense along the way. The church was huge. There were buildings everywhere. A conservative guess would be that the church had a radius of 3,000 miles. In a small world, the existence of the ruins of such a cathedral was an incredible thing in itself. Master, Blood Fairy said after a while, the glyphs here are strong, and they are from the ancient times. But many of them are ruined. This place must have suffered a strong attack. Ancient glyphs? Luli frowned. Did this mean that this church had existed since ancient times? The ruins were of no use. Even if there were treasures, they must have been looted away. If so, what were the demon masters doing here? After the time for one incense stick to burn, Luli finally sensed the demon masters. In front of him, there was a hall that was not destroyed. There were more than a dozen demon masters. There shouldn't be any Asmodean lords. The auras of more than 10 demon masters were all about the same. All of the demon masters were currently surrounding an altar, and they were all crazily injecting demonic chi. An altar? Luli was alarmed. Were the demon masters here to summon the Asmodean lords? If they could summon several Asmodean lords in a row, then it would be the end of the third plane. Destroy the altar and kill the demon masters. Luli did not hesitate. He checked carefully and made sure that the 16 were all demon masters. He made up his mind. The demon masters might be a bit stressful, but they could be killed. As long as the demon masters were killed, destroying the altar would be a piece of cake. Blood Fairy, when I am attacking the demon masters, go and modify the altar. Blow it up, Luli said. He wanted to destroy the altar, but the demon masters would try their best to stop him. Blood Fairy would go over quietly. Then, destroying the altar would be a piece of cake. Master, I don't think this is an altar. It is more like a seal. At this moment, Blood Fairy suddenly transmitted her voice to him. Judging from the runes nearby, it's very likely to be a seal. Of course, I don't know what is sealed inside. If the seal is destroyed, what if some strange existence escapes from inside? Seal. Lu Li's brows were tightly knitted together. The arrow was already knocked on the bowstring, and he had no choice but to release it. No matter what it was, he had to kill these demon masters first. He could not let the demon masters have their way. Charge! Lu Li released the dragon transformation. His energy surged out as if an ancient beast had awakened. The demon masters that had been concentrating on pouring Asmodean energy were alarmed. A voice suddenly came out. It was the language of the third plane. The demon masters shouted in fear. Lu Li? All the demon masters in the Asmodean abyss could speak. But the language they spoke was the ancient language, similar to the language of the endless abyss. Now, there was a demon master who spoke the same language as the third plane, and it sounded familiar. Qi Tianyu. Chapter 2862. Qi Tianyu was announced by the Qi family to be dead. He committed suicide after being locked up, and he had been dead for many years. Now, he suddenly heard a voice speaking in the language of the third plane. It sounded very much like Qi Tianyu's voice. This made Lu Li very surprised. At this moment, Lu Li didn't have much time to think. He flew over and released a ray of sword light in midair. This ray of sword light was condensed from source energy. It was very powerful, and the target was the altar. You five go and stop him and kill him. The demon master suspected to be Qi Tianyu roared. This time, he used the ancient language. Lu Li had stayed in the endless ruins for a long time and was very proficient in the ancient language. He didn't expect Qi Tianyu to be the leader of this group. Woo-woo. 6 demon masters flew up and formed huge shadows. 2 of them attacked Lu Li's ray of sword light. However, the 2 demon masters clearly underestimated the power of Lu Li's ray of sword light. Their attacks were easily destroyed. The ray of sword light continued forward. Seeing that the ray of sword light was about to hit the altar, one of the demon masters used his body to block it. Boom! The demon master was smashed away, covered in blood. When the other demon masters saw this, their expressions turned ugly. Lu Li's battle prowess was actually this strong. One wrong move, and all the demon masters were going to die here today. Boom, boom, boom. The demon masters began to attack. The black fog condensed into all kinds of attacks towards Lu Li. Lu Li released the dragon transformation. His defense was very strong. He withstood several attacks, and at the same time, released his source energy. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the demon masters were smashed away. Lu Li chose to fight them head-on. Some of the demon masters were still pouring demonic chi. Lu Li was afraid that something might go wrong and wanted to end this quickly. Buzzing, Lu Li attacked for a while and released his Dharma form. A silver dragon rose behind him. In an instant, the space nearby seemed to solidify. A surge of violent chi and energy pressed down, making many demon masters feel suffocated. The Dharma form's attack was so fast that it hit a demon master at once. That demon master didn't even have time to transform. But the Dharma form's attack was so violent that even if it transformed, it would be torn apart. Boom! The demon master was torn apart and exploded into pieces. The devil master, who was suspected to be Qi Tianyu, saw that the situation was not right. He roared, "All of you go and stop him. I will be able to open this seal in at most 30 minutes. All of the demon masters seemed to be obeying this demon master's command, and they flew towards Lu Li again. All kinds of attacks came at Lu Li. Strong as Lu Li was, he was wounded as well. However, Lu Li was risking his life. Origin energy gushed out as if it didn't matter. He formed Dharma forms and killed several demon masters in a row. Time moved on. It was about the time for 1 incense stick to burn, but Lu Li had only killed 8 Asmodeans. There were a few who were wounded, but not dead. Lu Li sensed that something was wrong. He ordered Blood Fairy, "Don't worry too much. Destroy that seal. Whatever happens, we cannot let him do this. Or find a way to make the seal malfunction." All right. Blood Fairy understood what Lu Li meant. She snuck into the seal from underground. That demon master noticed what Blood Fairy was doing. His eyes turned red. He stared at Lu Li and said, Lu Li, don't you dare. I will definitely open the seal. As long as I get what's inside, I will be able to grasp the entire third heaven in my hands. The tone sounded familiar. Lu Li looked over coldly and tried to fish for information. Qi Tianyu, back then, you were defeated by me. Now, I can defeat you as well. That demon master was getting more and more excited. He yelled, Lu Li, this time, I will make you die without a burial place. I will make you pay for what you did to me 100 times over. It really is Qi Tianyu. Lu Li was taken aback. Qi Tianyu had been dead for so many years. Now, he was possessing a demon master. This was like a fantasy. Charge. No matter how Qi Tianyu ended up like this, Lu Li must kill the demon masters first and then capture Qi Tianyu. Everything would be clear by then. Lu Li intensified his attacks. One demon master after another was killed. Qi Tianyu was pouring in Asmodean energy. The seal was glowing brighter and brighter, as if it was going to be opened soon. Wait, Qi Tianyu suddenly bellowed in rage. According to the previous situation, the seal should have been opened a long time ago. However, it had not been opened yet. What did this mean? It meant that Lu Li's goblin had done something. The seal might never be opened. Whoosh! A moment later, Qi Tianyu suddenly flew up and dashed into the distance. Without any hesitation, he said, Lu Li, don't worry. I will be back soon. By then, I will cut you into pieces. He is running away? Lu Li was surprised by Qi Tianyu's decisiveness. Shouldn't Qi Tianyu try his best? What if the seal could be opened? Lu Li wanted to go after Qi Tianyu, but there were still several demon masters left. They were all attacking him like crazy. He had no other choice but to fight hard. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Lu Li had killed all the demon masters. The ground was covered with corpses. The ruins of the church were destroyed as well. There were some dilapidated buildings around, but they were all leveled to the ground. Lu Li collected all the corpses of the demon masters, deactivated the dragon transformation, and took some healing pellets. He had been attacked by so many demon masters. Even though he had the armor of origin energy and his physical strength was strong, he was still wounded. Lu Li's eyes flickered. He could not make up his mind. He wanted to go after Qi Tianyu, but he was afraid that something might go wrong here. Who knew what was under the seal? What if Qi Tianyu came back? Qi Tianyu said that if he could control what was under the seal, he could control the third heaven. That meant that the thing inside was precious. Lu Li decided not to go after Qi Tianyu. If Qi Tianyu ran away, Lu Li would not be able to catch up with him in a short time. Lu Li could tell that Qi Tianyu was strong, stronger than all the demon masters. Qi Tianyu was fast as well. As soon as he sensed something was not right, he would run away. It would be hard for Lu Li to catch up with him. Blood Fairy, Lu Li asked, can you open the seal? Not a problem. Blood Fairy replied. Just now, he almost opened the seal. I suppressed the seal and did not open it. Master, do you want to open it now? Wait. Lu Li flew up and circled around. He used psychic power to make sure that there were no demon masters nearby. Then, he came back and said, open the seal. Blood Fairy began to open the seal. Soon the seal glowed. Following the glare, a door opened, revealing a flight of stairs. Chapter 2863. Walking down the stairs, Lu Li entered a palace. It was a magnificent palace with more than a dozen luminous pearls hanging in the palace, lighting up the place. It was splendid and glittering like a royal palace. In the middle of the palace was a statue of a majestic old man in a gorgeous robe, a jade crown, and a scepter in his hand. He seemed to be a king. Next to the statue was a small stone tablet. On the tablet were the words, Soul Jade King, the Supreme Being. Soul Jade King? Is this the tomb of a saint emperor? An idea came to Lu Li's mind. He then looked behind the statue. Behind the huge statue was a white jade coffin. Above the coffin, there was a bead floating above it. The bead was shining with golden light. The reason why the entire hall seemed to be shining with golden light was because of the bead. Treasure. Needless to say, the bead was a piece of treasure. It might be a holy weapon. If the owner of the coffin was a saint emperor, then the bead would be a holy weapon. Luli did not move around. He used the trace of Tao to check. Making sure that there was no danger around, he asked Blood Fairy to check. A moment later, Blood Fairy gave him a definite answer. There were divine patterns in the palace, but they were defensive ones. They were used to protect the things in the palace from being damaged. There were no offensive ones. Luli was relieved. Without any hesitation, he walked to the side of the jade coffin. He bowed with respect 3 times and then reached for the bead. The bead was cold and had a nice texture. He took the bead in his hand. He was overjoyed. He could not believe that he had gotten the bead so easily. He put the bead back into his interspatial ring at once, fearing that someone might snatch it away. He used psychic power to make sure that the bead was in his interspatial ring. Only then did he smile. Well, what is this? Suddenly, Luli's attention was attracted by a thin piece of jade silk on the coffin. He picked it up and found some strange patterns on it. What was it used for? He put it away after a quick look and wandered around. After 4 or 5 times, Luli was certain that there was nothing here apart from the statue and the jade coffin. Blood Fairy also searched the hall a few times, but there were no more treasures. There must be more treasures. There might be more hidden treasures in the coffin. But Luli couldn't break the coffin open, could he? This was too disrespectful to the ancestors. Digging up someone's grave was immoral, not to mention that Luli had obtained a treasure left by an ancient, powerful warrior. This bead was placed on top of the coffin. This was clearly a treasure left behind for future generations. The ancient silk on top of the coffin was also a treasure. The ancient warrior had left his treasures outside. Luli could not bring himself to dig up his grave. There might be treasures in the statue and the stele as well, but Luli didn't want to destroy them. He activated the marks of the great Tao and sensed for a while before retreating. Outside, he had Blood Fairy set up a few divine runes to seal the tomb. After sealing it, he immediately searched the small world. If he did not find Qi Tianyu, he would not be able to sleep peacefully at night. He believed that the Qi family would not act recklessly. It was definitely Qi Tianyu's own problem. A dead person became the demon lord of the demon abyss. This was unbelievable. Luli had to take this seriously. What was more, this man hated Luli to the core. If Luli did not kill Qi Tianyu, he would suffer from Qi Tianyu's crazy revenge. Luli was not afraid of revenge, but he was afraid that Qi Tianyu would assassinate Lu family members. Therefore, Luli searched the small world as fast as he could, trying to find Qi Tianyu and destroy his soul. He used the marks of the great Tao to search for Qi Tianyu's Asmodean energy. Along the way, Luli noticed that the Asmodean energy had disappeared into the tunnel. It seemed that Qi Tianyu had left the tunnel and escaped. Luli was still worried. He searched the small world twice to make sure that there were no creatures from the demon abyss hiding in there. Then, he left the tunnel. Back in the abyss, Luli asked Blood Fairy to seal the entrance. The divine runes Blood Fairy had set up were very powerful. It would be very difficult for ordinary people to break through. Unless there was an emperor-level expert, breaking through the divine runes would not be a problem. Outside, the Asmodean energy was thin. Luli had to rely on his senses. He was fast. Soon, he vanished into the distance. Hiss, hiss, an hour after Luli left, a shadow flew out from a boulder in the small world. In midair, a huge creature from the demon abyss came into being. This creature had the same face as Qi Tianyu. He laughed and dashed toward the entrance of the church. Blood Fairy had set up divine runes here, but Qi Tianyu entered easily as a shadow. He flew into the underground palace and looked at the jade coffin at once. However, when he saw that the jade coffin was empty, he was disappointed. Soul-devouring bead, my soul-devouring bead. Qi Tianyu yelled in rage. Luli, you have taken my soul-devouring bead. I will kill you. I will kill you. Ah! Qi Tianyu's angry voice echoed in the palace. After a moment, he looked at the jade coffin with passion and said, Luckily, the body of Jade Soul is still here. It is good that it is still here. If I can consume it, not only will my abilities be enhanced, I will have the presence of a human. Ha 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 ha. Qi Tianyu, turned into a shadow and flew directly into the jade coffin with a gray light shining from his body. The divine runes in the jade coffin glowed brightly, but the shadow still dashed in. Boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, the jade coffin began to shake violently. From inside came out the sound of drums, like waves of thunder. The jade coffin kept vibrating. After vibrating for over an hour, the jade coffin finally stopped vibrating. Next, a silhouette rushed out to take shape in the air. Ha 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 ha. Qi Tianyu laughed. His aura was obviously much stronger than before. His eyes were filled with dark red light. He smiled viciously and said, "Not bad, not bad. It has been over 1,000,000 years since Jade Soul died, but the energy in his body is still strong. I am close to the Emperor realm. More importantly, I finally have the presence of a human." Buzz. Qi Tianyu's body began to move in midair. After a while, he actually turned into a physical body. He was much smaller than before. Most importantly, he no longer had the characteristics of a creature from the Devil Abyss. Instead, he slowly turned into a human. From his appearance, he looked no different from an ordinary person. Buzz. Qi Tianyu put on a robe. His appearance was different from before. He looked like an old man. His life aura also felt very old. His back was a little hunched. His face was old-fashioned, and his eyebrows drooped all the way to his chin. He looked no different from an ordinary human. His body, facial features, skin, and temperament were all the same. This 1,000 transformations art is indeed a supreme, divine technique. Qi Tianyu touched his body as his eyes shone with light. He stroked his beard and viciously smiled. Very good. Give me a few decades, and I'll find and devour several dozen Saint King corpses. At that time, my battle prowess will definitely be enough to suppress the entire third heavenly layer. By then, I will be a third heaven supreme Saint Emperor. Ha ha! What a pity! Chapter 2864. Luli followed the faintly discernible Asmodean energy. The Asmodean energy stretched forward in a straight line. After flying for 6 hours, Luli finally found the source of the Asmodean energy. Oh no, I have been tricked. Luli saw a monster in the shape of a bat flying forward. Luli's face turned pale. The Asmodean energy came from this monster. Needless to say, this was a trick to lure Luli away. Why did Qi Tianyu want to lure the tiger away from the mountain? He had to go back to the tomb. Luli dashed toward the tomb as soon as he thought of this. However, he had been flying for 6 hours. Naturally, it would take him another 6 hours to fly back. When he was rushing back, Blood Fairy said from the entrance, "I think the seal here has been tampered with, but it is not broken. Open it." Luli told Blood Fairy to open the seal at once. He snuck in and dashed toward the church. Back at the church, Blood Fairy said again, "The same goes for the seal here. Open it." When Blood Fairy opened the seal, Luli dashed into the tomb. As soon as he entered, he smelled a strong smell of Asmodean energy, which belonged to Qi Tianyu. Luli looked around, but didn't notice any changes. The tomb was exactly the same as before he left. Nothing was broken. A moment later, Luli asked Blood Fairy to come out. "Blood Fairy, go and check the bodies in the tomb. See if they're damaged." Luli said. Blood Fairy went out. A moment later, she said, "Master, the body in the coffin has been reduced to dust." What? A glint of coldness rose in Luli's eyes. What about before? What was it like before? Have you ever investigated it? Yes, I have. Blood Fairy replied confidently. It was a corpse. It was dried up, but it was still a complete corpse. This is bad. Qi Tianyu had consumed the body of an ancient warrior. Luli did not know how or why, but he had a feeling that this was a problem. Not only had Qi Tianyu become a demon lord, but he also had many strange skills. He could even consume the body of an ancient warrior. Go! Luli dashed out. This time, there was no seal. There were no corpses in the tomb, so there were no treasures. He was not afraid that someone would come. After Luli rushed out, he tried to sense carefully. This time, he could not sense Qi Tianyu. He had to look around randomly and wander around as fast as he could. 10 days. He wandered around the area for 10 days, but found nothing. He couldn't even find a single demon abyss soldier, let alone Qi Tianyu. He knew he couldn't find Qi Tianyu, at least not in a short time. Without hesitation, he flew through the void and found a nearby city. He then teleported to the main city and used the Qi clan's spatial door to teleport to the Northern Plains continent. When Luli came out, he found a patriarch of the Qi family and asked, "Where is the emperor? I need to see him immediately. It's urgent." If it was someone else, the Qi clan's elder would have sent him flying with a slap. But Luli had the right to ask. The patriarch thought about it and said, "Family patriarch should be in the castle. I will show you there." The patriarch showed Luli around, and soon they found where Reincarnation Emperor lived. There was a leader of the Qi family guarding outside. That person went in and asked for permission. Reincarnation Emperor invited Luli in. Qi Wangshan, the family patriarch of the Qi family, was here with 2 other patriarchs. Reincarnation Emperor was sitting in the seat of honor. Seeing Luli coming in, he said with a smile, "Our little hero is back. Luli, you have made a great contribution at the Godly Wind Continent. How is it going over there?" "Basically," Luli replied, "there are still many people over there. There are just some things to clean up." "Emperor, I have a question. Is Qi Tianyu really dead?" "Qi Tianyu?" The Reincarnation Emperor was slightly surprised. Qi Wangshan and the others looked at each other in confusion. Why did Luli suddenly ask about Qi Tianyu? The kid died because of Luli. Wouldn't it be a slap to the face of the Qi family by asking about it? Reincarnation Emperor didn't think so. He replied, "Tianyu is dead." "Luli, why do you ask?" "Because I saw Qi Tianyu." Luli's words shocked everyone to death. His words shocked Qi Wangshan and the others. Luli added, "He has become a demon master. I'm sure it is him." "What?" Qi Wangshan and the others were shocked. Reincarnation Emperor, on the other hand, seemed to be thinking about something. He thought about it and said, "Apart from Wangshan, the others can leave now. Don't say a word about what Luli just said, or you will be punished according to the family rules." Several patriarchs took the order and left. Their faces were filled with shock and doubt. After the patriarchs left, Reincarnation Emperor said solemnly, "Luli, tell us the details. Don't say a word." "Okay." Luli told her everything that happened after he went after a demon master, including how he got the bead and how Soul Jade King's body was turned into dust. Luli told her everything. When Luli finished, Reincarnation Emperor and Qi Wangshan looked at each other. Their expressions became unnatural. Reincarnation Emperor sighed and said, "I was right. Tianyu really is the evil king's imperial star. He is growing so fast. Is he going to rise up in the abyss of demons? He is very likely to become a tribulation of the third heaven and bring endless disasters to the Qi family." Qi Wangshan was getting anxious and said, "Family patriarch, what should we do now? Can we find him and kill him?" "It will be difficult." Reincarnation Emperor shook his head and said, "If I am right, this man must have received the legacy of the demon abyss and cultivated some powerful magic. He devoured Soul Jade King's body, and he probably has the chi and energy of a human race. When he hides, you will not be able to sense the demonic chi on him. If I am right, he will probably continue to devour the bodies of Saint Emperors. If we are lucky, we can find him near the ruins. Well, we must find him. If he is allowed to grow, there will be endless troubles. Soul Jade King is really a Saint Emperor." Luli's heart skipped a beat. The bead in his hand must be the holy weapon. But he had no time to think about the holy weapon. Qi Tianyu was a ticking time bomb. More importantly, Luli was afraid that Qi Tianyu would assassinate the Lu family. "Emperor," Luli thought about it and said, "Then I will go to the ruins to search. Try my best to find Qi Tianyu." "You don't have to go. I will send 2 or 3 Emperor Realm warriors to search for him." Chapter 2865. Soul Jade Emperor was very famous in history because he was the strongest soul expert in history. There was no one else like him. He even formed a church and unified the entire godly wind continent. There were many Saint Kings at level 3 heaven back then. It was not hard to imagine how powerful he was to be able to dominate a continent. The soul-devouring bead was the treasure that made him famous. After Soul Jade King died, many people wanted to dig up his tomb to get the soul-devouring bead. But Soul Jade King was smart. He built many fake tombs before he died. So far, more than 100 tombs of Soul Jade King have been found. Many tombs had horrifying formations of slaughter in them. Over the years, many powerful warriors died in Soul Jade King's fake tombs in search of treasures. More than 100 fake tombs were found. Nobody knew if the real tomb had been found. Maybe Soul Jade King's treasures had been stolen. Gradually, people stopped looking for Soul Jade King's tomb. Unexpectedly, Qi Tianyu found the real tomb of Soul Jade King. Reincarnation Emperor Qi Wangshan and Lu Li even suspected that the real purpose of the invasion of the godly wind continent was to cover for Qi Tianyu and the other demon masters. Devour Soul Jade King's body, get the soul-devouring bead, and use it to become stronger. When Qi Tianyu became really powerful, wouldn't it be like an evil lord came? Then, Qi Tianyu would secretly lead more evil lords over. Also, Qi Tianyu could secretly control human warriors. By then, the destruction of level 3 heaven would not be far away. On this thought, Lu Li was shocked. He was angry with himself. If he had known this would happen, he would have gone after Qi Tianyu first and killed him once and for all. Okay, don't think too much. Reincarnation Emperor said, your task now is to cultivate. I suggest you cultivate in the northern battlefield and kill more demon abyss warriors. Then, use the soul-devouring bead to devour their souls. The soul-devouring bead can turn the souls into soul energy to strengthen your soul. Really? Lu Li was shocked. Not only that, Reincarnation Emperor thought about it and said, I remember reading an ancient text. The soul-devouring bead can be used as a weapon. Of course, it is for soul attacks. You can figure out yourself after you refine it. All right, Lu Li nodded. He frowned at the thought of Qi Tianyu. With Qi Tianyu around, the Lu family would not be safe. Should he relocate the Lu family? When Lu Li voiced out his concern, Reincarnation Emperor shook his head and said, don't worry. Qi Tianyu is not that stupid. At this moment, he was definitely hiding and would not easily give himself away. As long as I dominate the third heaven, where can your Lu clan escape to? If you're really worried, I'll personally set up some divine inscriptions and leave behind a strand of divine imprint. If anything happens, I'll head over immediately. Thank you, Emperor. What could Lu Li say? The Reincarnation Emperor had such a high status, yet he was so considerate of him. He could only repay them with death. If anything happened to the Qi family in the future, he would not hesitate to sacrifice his life. By the way, let me see that piece of jade silk. Reincarnation Emperor suddenly remembered something. Lu Li took out the jade piece of silk and handed it to Reincarnation Emperor at once. Lu Li had no doubt that Reincarnation Emperor would keep the jade piece of silk for himself. Even if Reincarnation Emperor wanted his soul-devouring bead, Lu Li wouldn't hesitate to give it to him. Reincarnation Emperor looked at it for a while, nodded, and said, this should contain Soul Jade King's secret skill of the soul. Study it well. Lu Li was overjoyed. Reincarnation Emperor waved his hand to let Lu Li leave. He went to the southern battlefront to cultivate. After Lu Li left, Qi Wangshan's expression darkened. He looked at Reincarnation Emperor and said, family patriarch, this unfilial son is really going to cause trouble. Are we really going to wait for death? I will arrange for 3 Emperor Realm warriors to search for him and some to wait outside the relics. But I don't know if we can find him. It's all up to fate. If I'm right, this time, the Qi family is really going to face a calamity, and this calamity must be on him. He's a disciple of the Qi family, right? Qi Wangshan said with uncertainty. How can he harm the Qi family? You can't have such thoughts. Reincarnation Emperor said coldly. He is no longer a disciple of the Qi family, but a demon from the abyss of demons. His heart has been demonized. He is a demon through and through. He will not remember the kindness of the past. All that is left in his heart is hatred and endless demonic desire. If you still have any illusions about him, you will be doomed eternally. I understand, family patriarch. Qi Wangshan nodded, and then went to make arrangements under Reincarnation Emperor's orders. Reincarnation Emperor took action himself. He sent 3 Emperor Realm warriors to the godly Wind Continent to search for Qi Tianyu. At the same time, he arranged for many scouts to wait outside the relics and dangerous places. If there were any suspicious signs or people, they would report immediately. There were many strange places in the Third Heaven relics. Reincarnation Emperor knew more than a dozen places where Saint Kings were buried, but they were all dangerous places. After everything was arranged, Reincarnation Emperor teleported to the city of Mystic Armor in person. He hid his identity and told Lu Renhuang that he was a patriarch of the Qi family. Reincarnation Emperor built some powerful divine patterns and taught Lu Renhuang how to use them. Then, he left a mark in the city and went back to the northern plains. Lu Ling, Xiang Ling Long, and Qi Dingdong were hunting warriors from the abyss of demons at the godly Wind Continent. They thought Lu Li was still at the godly Wind Continent. Lu Li settled down at the northern demon city. The Qi family arranged a castle for him. Lu Li began to consume the soul-devouring bead at once. Reincarnation Emperor said it was the best holy weapon for souls. Holy weapon. Lu Li once had a piece of relic iron, a fragment of a holy weapon. But it was the fragment that saved him many times. It was the holy weapon that helped him kill many powerful enemies. Now he had a complete holy weapon, and it was the best holy weapon for souls. Lu Li asked the patriarch of the Qi family to inform Qi Dingdong, Xiang Ling Long, and Lu Ling that he was at the northern demon city. Then, he went into the castle, activated the divine patterns, and took out the golden bead. The bead was only the size of a thumb. There were some faint golden patterns on it. It was cold and had a nice texture. The bead was light. Lu Li mobilized some divine energy to consume it. But nothing happened after a long time. Right, origin energy. Since it was a holy weapon, maybe it would be better to consume it with origin energy? Lu Li mobilized his origin energy and wrapped the bead in it. Okay, an hour later, Lu Li felt the bead was glowing. Even though it was only a little bit brighter, it meant that the bead could be dissolved. If I can absorb the soul-devouring bead into the realm of magic and consume it directly in the realm of magic, it will be faster. An idea came to Lu Li's mind. As soon as the idea came to his mind, the origin energy in his hand glowed. Then, the origin energy and the bead disappeared at the same time. What is going on? Lu Li was shocked. He used psychic power to check the realm of magic. He realized that the soul-devouring bead had entered the realm of magic and was in the origin energy in the realm of magic. The realm of magic can be used as an interspatial artifact. Chapter 2866. The jade silk was complicated. There were no words on it, not even ancient ones. There were only some strange patterns. Lu Li didn't know what the patterns represented. Lu Li stayed in the castle and meditated for half a month. Nothing came to his mind. He had consumed more than half of the soul-devouring bead. In another half a month, the holy weapon would be finished. How did Qi Tianyu find the tomb of Jade Soul King? There were powerful runes in the jade coffin. How did Qi Tianyu get in and devour Jade Soul King's body? Where was Qi Tianyu? Many questions came to Lu Li's mind. He could only find out after he captured Qi Tianyu. A patriarch of the Qi family came to tell him that Reincarnation Emperor had gone to the city of Mystic Armor to set up runes. Lu Li could tell that Reincarnation Emperor had high hopes for him. Some of them were too high, which put a lot of pressure on Lu Li. Therefore, Lu Li had been cultivating diligently, trying to reach the Emperor realm as soon as possible. Time flew on. After 13 days, the soul-devouring bead was about to be finished. Lu Li's cultivation was interrupted. Qi Dingdong and Xiang Ling Long came back. Qi Wangshan came with Qi Dingdong. Lu Li chatted with Qi Dingdong and Xiang Linglong for a while before Qi Wangshan asked them to leave. Qi Wangshan looked at Lu Li and said, Lu Li, Dingdong likes you very much. Do you know that? Yes. Lu Li was surprised. He had a bad feeling, like he was meeting a girl's parent for the first time. Qi Wangshan said with a smile, what I mean is, you should marry Ding Dong during this period of time and make some arrangements. Also, Linglong seems to be in love with you. How about you marry both of them? Lu Li didn't expect Qi Wangshan to be so open-minded. How could he let the most important young lady of the Qi family and Xiang Linglong marry Lu Li? Make some arrangements? Was he going to announce it to the world? 2 pearls of the Frigid Sea area were going to marry a man and make some arrangements? This was a humiliation for the Qi family. But Qi Wangshan was talking to Lu Li in a negotiating tone. It meant that the Qi family approved of it and didn't mind losing face. Lu Li scratched his head and said, Is this okay? Others can't, but you can? Qi Wangshan said with certainty, You don't have to worry too much. In this world, the strong are respected, and heroes are beautiful. This can only be a story. With your current fame and prestige, you are worthy of the 2 pearls of our cold tide sea area. I think we should settle this matter as soon as possible. How about 3 months later? Is there a problem? Lu Li hesitated. After a while, Qi Wangshan said, You can tell me what you want. We're going to be a family soon. Just say what you want. Don't worry. Lu Li touched his nose awkwardly and said, What? Could he marry 3 at once? There's a young lady in the Yin family who is also in love with me. Qi Wangshan's face fell. Originally, letting Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong marry into his family together had already crossed the bottom line in Qi Wangshan's heart. If it were not for the fact that Emperor of Reincarnation valued Lu Li so much and said that Lu Li had to solve the Qi family's troubles in the future, Qi Wangshan would never agree. Emperor of Reincarnation's prediction had been verified. Qi Tianyu had gone to the Asmodean's abyss and had risen rapidly there. He might bring disaster to the Qi family. Lu Li's growth was beyond Qi Wangshan's imagination as well. He was about to reach the Emperor realm. With the soul-devouring bead, Lu Li would soon become a powerful warrior in terms of soul. He was worthy of the Qi family's favor. But Lu Li was going to marry one more? More importantly, what kind of family was the Yin family? Compared to the Qi family, the Yin family was several levels lower. Emperor of Reincarnation would be disgraced if people knew about this. Lu Li was worried about trouble as well. The 3 ladies were loyal and affectionate. Yin Qingxi was one of them. He had known her since they were in the 9 universes, and she had saved his life several times. Qi Dingdong had been waiting for him for years, and Xiang Linglong had been through many things with him. Lu Li realized he could not leave anyone behind. Now that he was going to marry, it didn't matter if he married 2 or 3. He might as well make it happen once and for all. Otherwise, Yin Qingxi would be sad if he married Xiang Linglong and Qi Dingdong. Qi Wangshan pondered for a moment and asked tentatively, Why don't you marry Dingdong and Linglong first this time? Then, you can secretly bring Miss Yin into the sect? No, Lu Li said decisively. I am indebted to a young lady of the Yin family. She has saved my life many times. If I do that, I will be no different from a pig or a dog. Family leader Qi, I know this will affect the Qi family. I will go to the emperor and ask for forgiveness in person. Never mind. Qi Wangshan sighed and said, So be it. In 3 months, you will marry 3 ladies. You can go and propose to the Yin family. Well, do you want to do it at the city of mystic armor or the spatial city? You don't have to worry about it. The Qi family will take care of it. Do it? Lu Li was troubled. Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiushua hadn't told him yet. If they went to the city of mystic armor to do it, Jiang Qiling and the others would be sad. Lu Li thought about it and said, I will go back to the city of mystic armor and ask my father about it. Okay, make up your mind as soon as possible. Qi Wangshan nodded and said, After the wedding is done, go to the theater of operations to cultivate. Make the best use of your time. The 3rd heaven can change at any time. Sure. Lu Li's expressions were solemn. Qi Tianyu's matter was like a sword hanging over his head. It could stab him and the third heaven into pieces at any time. Without further ado, Luli thought about it. He had no idea how to study the jade silk. He had been consuming the soul-devouring bead, and he didn't have to worry about it. He thought he might as well go back to the city of mystic armor and take care of it. Once this matter was settled, he would be able to cultivate in peace and break through to the overlord rank. He teleported back to the city of mystic armor, and so did Lu Ling. All of Lu Li's wives came out as soon as he came back. Lu Li, on the other hand, went to the city of mystic armor to observe the inscriptions. Impressive. Lu Li asked Blood Fairy to check. Both he and Blood Fairy said the same thing. Not even an average Emperor Realm warrior would be able to crack the inscriptions designed by the Reincarnation Emperor. It would take them at least 10 days or half a month. Lu Li had left a seal here, so he could check at any time. If there was an attack from an Emperor Realm warrior, he could teleport back at once. Lu Li was relieved. He went into the castle and gathered his wives. He had a good meal with them, but didn't know what to say after the meal. Huh, Jiang Qiling laughed. She glared at Lu Li and said, "Tell me, how many sisters are going to marry into the family?" Lu Li touched his nose in embarrassment. No one knew a husband better than his wife. Jiang Qiling and the others all knew that he was busy. The third heaven was going through a major change. He wouldn't come back in a hurry if there was nothing important. Lu Renhuang and Lu Ling must have something to discuss with them. Lu Renhuang and Lu Ling must have something to discuss. "It is good to have new sisters," Bai Qiushue said with a smile. "It has been so many years, but he has no children. Maybe it is because we are not strong enough. Maybe, after marrying some wives in the third heaven, we can have children and we can have more children." Sister, you are right. Chapter 2867. Sister Ling. Lu Ling frowned. She glared at Bai Shuang and said, "Shuanger, what are you talking about? She is my sister." Bai Shuang was not afraid of Lu Li's stare. Instead, she said with a grin, "She is not your biological sister. Back at the third heaven, she is a young lady of the dragon rebel race. She has a distinguished status. Living in the city of mystic armor for no reason will affect her reputation. Outsiders don't know that she is your sister." Lu Li was surprised. He had never thought about this. Bai Shuang's words made sense. Outsiders did not know that Lu Ling was his sister and that she raised him. To outsiders, Lu Ling was a young lady of the dragon rebel race, the favorite of the dragon rebel race, and one of the most outstanding young ladies in the world. She was a goddess to many, an unmarried young lady. She was a young lady of the dragon rebel race, and yet she had been living in the city of mystic armor. How could she maintain a good reputation? Lu Ling might not mind, but Lu Li had to think for her sake. "Let's not talk about my sister now." Lu Li shook his head. Then he told them about Yin Xingxi, Ling Long, Qi Dingdong, and so on. He told them how he got to know the three and how they went through hardships together. He also gave a brief account of what had happened over the years. Everyone was silent. After a long time, Jiang Qiling said, "Darling, I support you in marrying the three of them. Do it in the city of mystic armor and do it in a grand way. You don't have to worry about it. Leave it to us." The others nodded. They didn't show any emotion. Lu Li knew that they were wronged, but they didn't show it. Lu Li didn't say anything. He would be pretentious if he said too much. The matter was settled. Lu Li went to discuss with Lu Renhuang, and Lu Renhuang was happy. After all, Lu Li hadn't had any offspring. There was always hope for more wives. Maybe it was because Lu Li's body was so special that Jiang Qiling and the others could not bear it. Ling Long, Yin Xingxi, and Qi Dingdong were powerful warriors. Maybe they could get pregnant. Alas, brother, it is not good to be so sentimental. Qiling and Qiushue will feel aggrieved. Lu Li touched his nose in embarrassment. He didn't know what to say. He was indeed a sentimental person, and he was soft-hearted. He didn't know how to reject a woman who was good to him. So things slowly developed into this. What happened next was simple. Lu Renhuang and Lu Ling would go to the Yin family to propose marriage on behalf of the Lu family. Of course, the Yin family would be happy. However, when he heard that he was going to marry three women at once, he still felt a little uncomfortable. But when they heard that one of the other two was a young lady from the Chi family and the other was a young lady from the Xiang family, the Yin family felt much more comfortable. After all, the Chi family was one of the most powerful families in the world. Yin Qingxi didn't feel wronged. Luli wanted to talk to Yin Qingxi in private as well. Yin Qingxi was so wrong that she shed tears. But she didn't say anything. She just nodded in silence. Falling in love with a wild horse was tantamount to falling in love with a grassland. What could she do? Speaking of which, when she fell in love with Lu Li, he already had a wife, so she was mentally prepared. Then they went to the Xian city and the Xiang family. Neither family had anything to say. It was a matter that had been decided. Lu Renhuang and Lu Ling had reached an agreement with the two families. They decided to hold the wedding in 2 months. But the venue was changed. Instead of going to the city of Mystic Armor, the wedding would be held in the Xian city. The main concern was safety. They didn't want anything to go wrong with the wedding. Besides, going to the city of Mystic Armor wouldn't expose the Lu family too much. Qi Wangshan wanted to have a grand wedding, but Lu Ling stopped him. He decided to have a small celebration. After all, the third heaven was in a dire situation. A grand wedding would be criticized. Many were fighting against the abyssal demon warriors, and many were dying every day. On the other hand, Lu Li was marrying 3 beauties. His reputation would be tarnished if word got out. Lu Li didn't have to worry about anything. Qi family, Yin family, and Xiang family were handling everything. He would stay at the city of Mystic Armor to keep his wives company. He also wanted to make amends. He felt guilty that he had been away from them more than together over the years. Several days later, Lu Li suddenly felt a spiritual connection with the soul-devouring bead. He was inspired. He went into the castle by himself and activated the divine pattern. "Come out," he shouted. A golden bead appeared in his hand. He closed his eyes, poured divine energy into the bead, and sensed it carefully. After a while, he was surprised. Nothing happened when he poured divine energy into the bead. He tried to pour in his divine energy. This time, the bead reacted. It glowed in a golden light. He used psychic power to check the soul-devouring bead. After a while, he felt strange. There was a small crack in the bead. Was it natural or was it damaged later on? The bead seemed complicated. There were all kinds of divine patterns in it. It was dazzling. Lu Li was worried. It would be a shame if the soul-devouring bead was broken and couldn't be used. This was the most powerful, holy weapon of soul-related. One of the most powerful. Go and have a try. There were still 2 months to go before the wedding. Lu Li was itching to go. He said something to Jiang Qiling and the others and teleported to the northern demon city. He didn't stay at the northern demon city for long. He teleported to the battlefield directly. The battle was still in full swing. Humans were fighting back and taking over the defense lines. Lu Li talked to a patriarch of the Qi family and went to the battlefield by himself. He was only at the 6th tribulation, which didn't seem particularly powerful. He put on the mask, so the warriors on the battlefield didn't pay much attention to him. Lu Li dashed into the battlefield. He saw many abyssal demon warriors and began to kill them all by himself. After he killed an abyssal demon warrior, he flew the soul-devouring bead out and used the trace of Tao to sense it. It is absorbing soul energy. Lu Li was shocked. When the soul-devouring bead flew over, the soul of that abyssal demon warrior didn't dissipate. But when the soul-devouring bead passed by, the soul of that abyssal demon warrior was absorbed. Lu Li continued to attack the abyssal demon warriors. The soul-devouring bead flew around him. Every time a abyssal demon warrior was killed, the soul-devouring bead would circle around the body, and the soul of the abyssal demon warrior would be devoured. Lu Li stayed on the battlefield for 3 days. He had killed at least 10,000 abyssal demon warriors. Then, he went back to his castle at the northern demon city. He could tell that there was a lot of strange energy stored in the soul-devouring bead. Now it was time to see if the energy could be converted into soul energy. If he could, then Lu Li's soul would be strengthened. The souls of abyssal demon warriors were not weak. Many of them knew how to release their abyssal souls. Their souls were strong, comparable to warriors of the fifth tribulation. Therefore, the souls of the 10,000 abyssal demon warriors were strong. If Luli could absorb all of them, it would be horrifying. Luli sat with his legs crossed in the castle. His hands glowed with source energy. The bead was spinning in his hand. As he activated the bead, some invisible energy came out from the bead and entered Luli's body. It can convert soul energy. My soul energy is growing fast. In a moment, Luli was taken aback. His soul was improving at a horrifying speed, similar to the strange state he was in at the Hell Realm. Wait! All of a sudden, Luli's expressions changed. He noticed that half of the energy was escaping from the small crack in the soul-devouring bead. The crack was not formed naturally. It was made by someone. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.